me.
Welcome, roller derby fans, to KZZH's broadcast of Humboldt Roller Derby. That, of course, was our theme song, Rink Crash, written by Thomas Chan. I'm here tonight with Carhartt Crush on a Saturday night here at Franceschi Hall. It's a doubleheader tonight, and a unique doubleheader.
Thank you.
Because we're going to see a specialty game, an exhibition game in the first game, a game that's going to be skated between the Undead Expo game between Team Black and Team White, which are members of Humboldt Roller Derby. And then the second game is a rematch of a March game that happened up in Salem, Oregon, as the Cherry City Roller Derby is coming down. And this is going to be a grudge match, so to speak, because Cherry City got the best of the Redwood Rollers back in March. Carhartt, welcome to the broadcast.
Thank you so much. Happy to be here, and I'm excited to watch a game with you guys. Your live streams are always so much fun from the other perspective. So now I'm excited to see it from this perspective.
Well, I'm glad that you're getting to come from this perspective. One of the great things that we've had this year in Roller Derby is we've had guest play-by-play announcers that have their own different views on how the game is played. And one of the things we've had to do is kind of educate our audience as to what roller derby is and how teams score and what strategies are and jams and all of the things that make it so intriguing. Now, that being said, this first game is going to be very different from the games we've seen this season.
A little bit. There's still going to be the basics. The basics are the same. There will be a shorter shorter period. So we'll do 20-minute expo period. So 20 minutes instead of 30s. This is also a fun game where it's us against us. So you'll see people doing different jobs. Like maybe if you jam normally, you might be blocking in this game. I'm a jammer typically. But sometimes in these fun games, I like to block, just get some extra practice. Also, just kind of developing your skills differently. All rules and fouls and the traditional structure of the game is going to be the same, though.
Okay, so the teams are coming out for the introductions, it looks like.
They're going to do a short demonstration really quick.
And that demonstration will be what?
They're going to run through just a basic jam of showing how you have two jammers, one on each side, one on each team. And then you have your defense. The way I explain it is that you're basically doing offense and defense at the same time. Whereas, with football, you're either on one or the other. This is one of the only sports where you're doing both at once.
I can't think of many sports where you are doing most at once. One of the things you have to pay attention to if you're watching roller derby is who are wearing the bonnets over their helmets. The covers with the star means you're the jammer. And then the stripes are a much different job.
Yes, so we call them panties, and the helmet covers, if you are the jammer, you are the only person that can score. The pivot is the one with the striped helmet cover, and those are the only people that can actually take the jammer panty and wear it. It's called a star pass. Once the star pass happens, then that pivot now can score points, and the jammer has effectively turned into a blocker by giving up their panty.
Now, they're starting right now, giving the demonstration. They're at the jam line explaining how offense and defense happens right off the whistle when the teams start. One thing that I found interesting is in the defensive formation, when the Redwood Rollers started to have a lot more success in the spring, and that was they started to contest right up at the jam line as it got started.
Yeah, being aggressive as a defense is the way I like my blockers to play. I want my blockers to lock that other jammer down. I don't need help getting through. I need them to stop them from getting through. So what you'll see them do is they'll sit on them, they'll sink back and capture them so that I can get out and go do my thing. Because I'm a bulldozer style jammer, like I'm not very fast or I'm not very like technical. But if you stop that other person, I'll get myself out. So we call it like locking down or sinking back on them. It allows it throws the other jammer off too. Because if you take away their speed and their power, their ability to punch, a lot of jammers don't know what to do.
Well, let's be honest here. Aren't the other team is trying to do the same thing? So, what gives you the advantage of getting through as opposed to that other jammer?
I like my blockers to line up on the back. And what they do is they sink back and hold that jammer back. Once I get the other team 10 feet away from the other team, so I spread the pack out, they have to start dropping people because there's a level of engagement. You have to be within, I think it's 10 to 20 feet. As soon as me as a bulldozer jammer starts pushing the defense forward, because they have to roll with me, they can't stop. It's called a stop block. I'm going to bulldoze and push them farther and farther away from my own team and create that gap. Once I have that gap, the refs will say no pack. As soon as you hear no pack, one of your skaters has to actually drop off of me and let me go. And then I have less people to go against. And then if I keep pushing them, they have to drop another skater and another and another. And eventually, once they're out of play, like 20 feet past the main pack, then they have to let me go. So your main pack is where most of the skaters are. For defense, at least 4 defensive players, that makes up the main pack. So today or later during the game, I'll try to point one of those situations out.
Okay. Now, let me ask this question. You bring up a new term for us, bulldozer jammer. Is there a certain situation or a certain time of the game or against a certain defense that a bulldozer jammer is preferable to more of a speed player?
Yeah, there's certain it's hit or miss because sometimes you can plan. Like if I see another bulldozer jammer standing up to go play, I might stand up and say, "Hey, I'm gonna hop in and do this one," or my coach might have me do it. If I see like somebody like Sprocket, who's a speedster jammer line up, I might sit out and then let another speedster line up with her because our skills, like the way I'm gonna run the game is not gonna be how they do it. And it might not be beneficial for me to even be out there. So typically you try to match jammer skills against the other team if you know them. The hard thing is like with Cherry City, we're not going to know their jammers until 10 or 15 minutes into the game. But a bulldozer is really great because like I don't get hit out a lot. I stay in the middle. The speedster jammers go on the edges and sometimes they'll get hit out more often and get penalties.
And that's especially true around the curves, right?
Yes. Curves are very dangerous. And so like what we teach our jammers is we say stay in the middle because it's safer. It's harder to get through because that's where the most people are.
All right. So, and then once again, the interest to me about the jam is the awareness of the jammer. When the jam starts, it could go for as long as 2 minutes. However, they rarely do because jammers call them off.
Getting lead jammer is pretty much what my favorite thing to do. I don't always do it, but it's helpful if we have lead jammer. The lead jammer is the first person to get out of the pack. That's the first jammer to get away from everybody else and cross everybody's hips. If you are lead jammer, you're the only one that can stop the jam early. Stopping the jam early is a benefit because you want to be net positive. So if I score 4 points and you score 4 points, none of us really gained anything. But if I score 4 points and call off the jam and you were about to score, I'm 4 and you're 0. So net positive, I won that jam. So you'll see people call it off. They'll get a couple points and then call it off.
Well, is that your call? You got to have eyes in the back of your head, I would think.
Our bench coaches, so you'll see bench coaches standing next to the bench, and you'll also see typically a person standing in the corner of the track. So I'll look to one of those people. Sometimes it's a teammate, sometimes it's a coach, and they'll be giving me the hand signal to like call it off, or they'll say another term is hit it and quit it. So go get your points and then stop and then call it off. Because that means the other jammer's coming. Maybe they're getting out of the penalty box. So there's some strategy of when you call it off. You also don't want to call it off too early, because if you have two buddies in the penalty box, you don't want them sitting in there. You want to get them out. So then you'll keep playing for a little bit to get them out of the box. So then you can start the next jam with a full defensive line.
And then people should also realize, I'll explain the scene that's going on is fantastic. People should also realize that sometimes the jammers get put in the penalty box, and then you don't have a player that has the ability to score on the rink at the time.
Yes, and that's called a power jam. So you'll see us doing this like fist pump motion, and it's called power jam. And when that happens, if your jammer is the only one out there, it's awesome, because all you have to do is offense. If your jammer is in the box, you're doing full defense, and the other team's making it as hard as they can on you to not do defense.
Well, here we go. Here's what's going on. The teams are being introduced. We've been promised some special shenanigans tonight, as we have a Halloween theme, players in costumes and makeup. Down goes Slam Chowder as each player is introduced. They fall to the ground, and we have the undead white versus the black tonight. And the players are laying on the ground right now as we're about 4 minutes from the start of the game. Remember, this is all of the teams, the B teams, the Widowmakers, the Bettys, they're all have been chosen. They could be in this game, correct?
Yes, this is our whole roster of skaters. Oh, okay. Sorry. I was looking to see the video camera. It's my first time doing this. This is our whole roster. So typically teams, we play an A team and we play a B team. The first game is B and the second game is A. For this situation, we had a B team, but they actually weren't able to make it up here due to, I can't remember if it was financial or just scheduling wise. So instead of just playing one game and not giving the fans a full night of derby, we decided to do an expo game where we kind of take the time to almost have some fun with it. So tonight you're going to be seeing a lot of our B skaters and some of our newer skaters skating most of the game. And that's to give them the time to develop as skaters. But the A team, some of the higher level skaters might pop in here or there just to help out. But we're trying to keep them fresh for the next game.
The next game is going to be an intense game because it's a rematch with Cherry City, and Cherry City did very well and drubbed the Rollers in March.
Yes.
So there's some anxiety about that game to come. But this game is about fun and getting people into a match where they're skating, and also giving people a chance to go ahead and try some other positions, which is important for a program and a coaching staff, because you don't know.
Yeah, with injuries, I mean, you have skaters going out and getting pregnant like I did.
Well, let's talk about that. You're out now.
Yes, I was so bummed.
You're so bummed.
I am bummed. I love this sport. I love hitting people. My day job as a teacher doesn't really give me the
chance to hit people. I get it.
So it's this magical sport where you're encouraged to be aggressive and you're encouraged to take up space, and it's just a weird magical community. But I have what's called the 9-month injury.
The 9-month injury. So is this the first little crush?
Yes, this is going to be the first baby crush. So my husband, Mr. Crush, he's very excited, and we've got baby crush on the way.
No, you can't say that you're disappointed.
No, I know. It's going to be great.
It's going to be great.
But
with a 9-month injury.
Yeah.
Is that, just for maybe a player a year, or
It just depends. I would love to be back sooner than later, but just I'm gonna trust my body. I can be involved in other just land, so I'll still help put on the functions, like I help with the whole thing, and I'll still maybe come and guest coach or help out in certain ways.
well, let me ask you about that. When I come here, and when I come here and see the Redwood Roller Derby, I'm just so impressed with the community that exists.
Yeah.
Everybody from the volunteers to the fans. This is an event.
Yeah, it's a full production. I previously skated with Sacramento Roller Derby, and we had some good bouts and we had great fun here, but it is a lot.
I'm going to say right here before the match, you're listening to KZZH 96.7 Eureka Community Radio from Access Humboldt. We're going to get our underwriters in as we can as they're lining up for the first jam, and this game looks going to start here in a second. The broadcast is underwritten by the Speakeasy Bar, a New Orleans-inspired custom-built bar, seasonal craft cocktails, fresh local ingredients, live jazz, blues music, and more. Located at 411 Opera Alley, 411 Opera Alley. So they're setting up.
So black team looks like we have, or I guess they're going by vampires, but we'll probably refer to them as black and white tonight.
Well, hang on. They're going as What is the white going as?
Ghosts.
The vampires and the ghosts.
Yeah, it's quite the
that's a classic matchup.
Yeah, it's an undead matchup. We've got Chakra over on the right, and they typically jam, but looks like they're lining up as a blocker. They're a very strong player, so it's fun to see them block.
Now, when we say block, they get in these triangles as they're in now, and they've gummed up the action right at the start at the jam line, and it doesn't look like the triangles, the wedges are being pushed very hard now.
Just a little bit. So this is actually really good for the tripods, is that they're not losing control. They're staying where they want. They're just barely inching forward. Now it looks like Cherry's going to get out on the outside, but she evades a block by a couple skaters. This is a bridge. So what's happening is Cherry got through because they had to drop.
Because they had to spread out. And Cherry Bomber, who scored for the black there as her first time around, she's obviously a bulldozer jammer.
Yes, we're buddies. We'll match up a lot together, and they are calling.
Cherry Bomber went out and called off the jam. It was Furious George for the Ghosts.
Looks like
the Ghosts scored a point.
Yep.
2-1.
2-1. That's why you never stop playing even to the final whistle, because you can sneak a little point at the end by just inching by someone.
There you go. Remember, passing a defender is the way a jammer scores a point in roller derby. Once again, thick and gummed up at the original jam line where things get started here on the far corner.
It's amazing we even stay up on our skates, because it looks like such a cluster that your feet would just trip over each other. But somehow it all works. So we've got a newer jammer, and this is Poetic Justice.
Poetic Justice made a great move to the outside to break free from that jam.
Malice is coming right after him.
86th.
Malice and Justice trained in the most recent training camp together, and I've really enjoyed watching them come up.
So how long has Poetic Justice been playing with the team?
I believe this is their second bout, but it could be their first. I'm pretty sure it's the second. I want to say they played in September. So they graduated training camp at the beginning of this year. And then once you graduate training camp, you still have to work kind of your way into being able to bout full time with attendance and just skill level. So all these skaters have accomplished that.
How long does training camp last?
I believe it's 3 months. And we're in one right now, but if people are interested, it is a great way to get exercise. It's I want to say it's $200 for 3 months of activity.
There you go.
Got a race.
Very fast jammers here. Danger going ahead and
going after snot.
knocking the snot out of him.
Yep.
Can we say that?
Yep.
There you go.
Yep.
So no scoring on the play, at least not has been.
And smart on Snot's part because Danger's a very effective player. So Snot knew like it's not going to be smart to just keep playing. And it's like you might as well save your energy and reset.
Okay, here we go with the new jam, and it looks like Slam Chowder, who we've seen as a jammer before, and a blocker. More as a blocker, I would say.
Is actually a pivot. So she's able to take the panty often, and it's good for her to practice jamming because she might have to.
It's Cherry Bomber that breaks out for the black squad, and Cherry Bomber coming around back to the pack and the defense. But it looks like right there, her own players went ahead and threw some blocks on the tripod of the Ghosts and were able to spring Cherry Bomber for 3 points.
Yeah, that's effective defenses. Even if you're not actively holding somebody, just go hit someone.
Okay. Want to read another Rennie Law Group providing legal services to public agencies throughout California, practicing public law in the public interest. They are an underwriter for us, and we're getting ready for another jam. It's 5-1 in favor of the Vampires. And
looks like Sassafrash is jamming for Ghosts
and breaking loose.
And Poetic Justice for the Vampires coming around the corner. Let's see if she can.
Poetic Justice, the recent graduate from training camp, but it is Thrasher coming around. And they are meeting the jam, the tripod that is blocking.
Very strong tripod they're going against right now. You have Just Destroyer and remind me of Double Zero's name. I think they recently changed it.
Not on the roster at the moment.
They used to be called Sissy, but I believe they started a new name, which is not uncommon in Derby.
Really? Now, why is that? Like picking your name is.
Sometimes it's just like a new stage of life. So I used to be called Punky Boobster, and I went by Boobs, which as a teacher was not the greatest name. But
there you go.
Before I was teaching. So when I moved to Humboldt, I wanted a fresh start with a new team. So I chose to change my name to Carhartt Crush, which is more my style nowadays.
There you go. So 9-5 as the Ghosts have really scored here. Going around to the far turn, the defense much more stretched out at this point, and this jam is going to go the full length, it looks like, and finally called off. But a big scoring drive for the Ghosts.
And people might think that 8 points isn't a lot, but it really is. Like in terms of Derby, most jams you're getting 4 to 6 points. But for her to score a 12-0 jam, that's phenomenal.
It seems like a sport of runs. People get on runs and it seems like a sport that's very difficult to stop a team when it's on a run.
Yes, that's one thing about like it's an energy too. It's like once a team gets going and gets that speed and energy. So
Furious George broke through but cut over the line of the track and is going to be sent to the penalty box. And because of that, that means that the Ghosts don't have a scoring player on. So it's the power jam for the Vampires, and met hard at the lower right-hand corner here in Franceschi Hall. Eco Terrorist been able to break away.
Sometimes you'll see the black team stay out of their own jammer's way because Eco's a talented jammer. So now they're going to go and run a little bit of offense. But look, she didn't even need it. She's going to so now they're holding the pack back.
So let me ask this question. Can you have a jammer that is both, because Eco Terrorist looks like has the speed, but also a little bit of the power, a little bit of the ability to get through?
Eco has a lot of talent as a blocker as well, because they get very low and they have like a staggered strong like stance that they do. It drives me nuts whenever they block against me because I can't get around them. So size is not everything. You'll see because Eco's kind of a like smaller person, but they can block some of the biggest people and they can power through some big people just based on technique, and the way that they use their body.
So here we go, lining up for a new jam. It's 15-13. Eco Terrace made the points back for the Vampires, 15-13. They had a 10-0 run on that jam. So 15-13, a very competitive game here with 12:09 left to go in the first half. We want to also recognize Juan Pablo Cervantes, reminding you that Election Day is Tuesday, November 5th. Hey, remember that. You can find information about your polling place, ballot drop-off centers, and ways to track your ballot at Humboldt_elections at co.humboldt.ca.us. Tuesday, November 5th. Get out and vote.
Thank you for the reminder.
Yeah.
The months are flying by, and I didn't even realize it
Not
was
for a
already.
teacher. September
it.
and October are the two hardest months.
It
Those are
flew by.
the most days. Well, if those two flew by, you're off to a great
I
start then.
know.
What is the break here right now?
So this is an official review. Sometimes a ref might need to check in with a skater, or a ref needs to talk to the buddies and say, "Hey, I made that call. Was it the right call, or did you guys see what I saw?" I think I saw one of the refs actually go over and talk to Eco, which might have been like they wanted to check in with them about something, not
So
necessarily something wrong, but just it's always learning.
a more interesting jam to start. Cherry Bomber bulldozing her way forward, but this is with Furious George in the penalty box. This was a power jam, and I noticed that it was more spread out. Now, Furious George out of the penalty box. Now the Ghosts are on the power jam, and they go straight ahead. Furious George trying to sneak through and will, and they are going to be able to score points here as they're coming around to the near corner to get into the next engagement with the defense.
And the Ghosts are getting ready because they saw Cherry stand up, and that means she has 5 seconds left. So as soon as the jammer stands up, 5 seconds, and then they're coming back.
Fabulous footwork by Furious George as they're able to score points on the far side and coming back to the defensive pack and doing a great job staying inside the boundaries of the track. Remember, the track is flat and not banked, and Furious George is on a real run right now.
Yeah, that was really great footwork. They use their toe stops a lot, and instead of just taking the hit, she kind of bounced off of it a little bit and danced, which is a really great skill.
Finally knocked out by Power Diesel on the low side here in the corner. Meanwhile, Cherry Bomber trying to push their way through and actually working with the rest of the defense to stop Furious George. They passed the panty.
Yes, I missed that.
To
Chakra. Chakra got a penalty though, so effectively it's a power jam. Now, Furious George just called it, and her coach probably told her to. So now we're going to start with a jammer down situation, which is kind of fun because now you get to just like kind of play with them a little bit. It throws the other team off. They don't have a jammer to start with.
Okay, so the jam continues.
We've got a timeout right now. Oh, 00 is Shreddy.
Shreddy.
They have been skating with Humboldt Roller Derby for quite some time. And I believe they came out of retirement. They
to play tonight?
I want to say a couple months ago, they took some time for family and just, life and everything. And we're happy to have them back.
Excellent. Well, let's recap what Furious George was up to, a 12-0 run that makes it 25-15 in favor of the Ghosts as they've come out and they've really done it on a couple of big runs. The Ghosts have had a 12-0, two 12-0 runs. It's 25-15. They've done it on those two runs.
And it's great. Roller derby can change in a split second. teams could also be 50, 60 points behind and come back. Like,
Have you seen that?
yes, I've seen it happen. It's rare. It doesn't, but you can come back in a halftime. And just there's certain teams that are, second half teams. And so you gotta kind of watch out for them. I actually don't look at the scoreboard, which you keep looking at the scoreboard, which is good. But I didn't realize I wasn't looking because I don't even really look at it during the game.
Well, pushing ahead and is
Skatelin.
Skieglin?
Mhm.
Skieglin, as the jammer. Now, is Skieglin usually a jammer? They look like they would mostly be a blocker.
They do a little bit of both, and their typical name is Born Wicked.
Born
I'm not sure
Wicked.
if they changed it just for this game or
That's not right to the announcing squad
I
to
know.
change them just before the game.
but it might be a change they're making permanently. They are a taller skater like myself, and they actually do fairly decent as a bulldozer taller jammer.
Now, both jammers were in the penalty box because Chakra Punch went to the penalty box, and now we're going to call them Bjorn Wicket. Bjorn Wicket comes out and
right back. So in order to not have, so if they all sat in the penalty box for 30 seconds, the game would never get going.
right.
So the jammer only has to serve the amount of time that the other jammer already served. So if I was sitting for 5 seconds and then you got a penalty, you only have to stay in for 5 seconds.
Wow.
Because there has to be a jammer on the field. So they let me go and then you'll come out 5 seconds later.
Chakra Punch has broken through of the pack, looking very Halloween spirited in the skeleton makeup. And Chakra Punch engaging on the far corner with the tripod defense and plugging ahead. Chakra Punch is an outstanding jammer, right? Both fast and powerful.
Her name is perfect for her, like the calm of the chakra. And I believe that their normal day-to-day job is they do Reiki, sound bath, and like some of the healing arts. And she also is a DJ. But she does a lot of yoga, a lot of like that body strengthening, and you can see it in her when she skates. Incredibly strong.
How much? So on that, there was a 3-0 run for the Vampires, 25-18. How much do you train outside of working with the roller derby team? Actually,
It's about, I mean, typical practice is 3 days a week from 7 to 9:30. So, you're getting in 7-something hours of practice a week if you go every night, but life. Then outside of that, a lot of our skaters do weight training together. They do endurance cardio skating. I'm sure I probably could have done more. It's tough with life because just getting the gym or getting to work out after all this is tough.
the action is stopped up right in front of us. Outstanding defensive formation, the tripods,
Yes.
keeping the jammers from moving forward.
Is trying her best to open up some holes for her jammer, but sometimes the tripod just doesn't. It's in the phase.
And now, and you can just dive in there to the middle of the tripod and try to break it up.
As long as you hit legally, like, within the legal hitting zone, you're fine.
There we go. So both tripods have the jammers totally blocked up right now. Outstanding defensive work as far as team in unison. And there's nothing happening scoring wise. And finally,
The ghost team drew back poetic justice. It's called like getting recycled, where they pull you back and the jammer, because you have to go in behind the skaters you haven't passed yet, because if you go in front it's cutting. So that actually caused Malice to be able to get out because her team had to drop people and spread out the defense.
so there you go, as a strategy that kind of loosened the
Yes.
track up a bit.
Absolutely.
Because the track gets very clogged. Remember, there are
A lot of
8
bodies out there.
players, so there's 16 players that can be in any one small part of a corner or when we're starting a jam. And
Well, there's 10 players total on the track. But you also think about even having the refs out there, it feels like you have people all around you because you can't touch the refs. If you do accidentally, it's okay. But if you don't avoid a hit and you hit a ref, it can be cause for like a pretty flagrant flat foul. Um, but we've never had anything like that happen.
So
We protect our refs because we love them.
yes, we'll get the refs names for you. 29-18. That was a 4-0 run in favor of the Go. So low scoring first half, even though the first half is going to be shortened, 10 minutes shorter. The bottom line is now Cherry Bomber breaks through, and this is one of the few times we've seen a jammer break through so early because the defense has been excellent off the line tonight.
We just saw a little whip happen. Did you see that hand movement?
There you go.
So Danger took Beans's hand and pulled them through the pack. If it's your own teammate, you can push them and pull them however you want.
There you go. That, and that when you watch traditional roller derby, you thought of that more
Yep.
as far as the bank tracks and whatnot.
Yep.
So
Hip whips happen a little bit. You also see people grabbing onto their own teammate's shirt and using it to whip themselves around.
there's a timeout here as we're having a review. I should say the KZZH's broadcast of Humboldt Roller Derby is also supported by Cafe Brio on the Arcata Plaza and open every day from 8 to 3 with brunch all weekend. Dine in, there's patio seating or takeout. So getting the underwriters in that are their support able to put this broadcast on KZZH. We've had the whole season on for you, or at least the home part of the season. We've yet to travel with the team. Is traveling a great experience as far as team bonding? Or
yeah, it's a lot of fun, and typically you have your partners go with you. So I'll drag my husband along. Like we traveled up to a tournament in the Dalles, Oregon. Beautiful country, right? You're up on the Rogue River and all those beautiful sights, and we kind of made it a weekend. So we got nice hotels, and we all went out to dinner and ate some good food, found some good breweries, and and
do the rollers like to have a good time together?
Oh yeah, after parties are always a good time. It's interesting because even though we don't know these people, as soon as we show up to play, oh, I love watching Sprocket Jam.
Fantastic move there by Sprocket Rocket. A great move on the outside, and now coming up and passing an entire group of the Jam. It's almost like they went right and Sprocket went left and was able to break through, got 4 quick points, and then called off the Jam. 33-18. Ghosts opening up a little bit of room right now as far as the score is concerned. It's been tight, though. Even 33-18, there's 3:56 to go. It's low scoring. I think it's low scoring because maybe you've got some new jammers trying it out. But the other thing is the people that have been blocking and playing these defensive tripods have been outstanding.
Yes, and they're doing a great job. You see a lot of people trying different things, and a low score doesn't always mean like that people aren't trying. It could just be that they're evenly matched really well, which
Sure.
I think they are. You've only got a 14-point difference right now.
Carl Sparks has broken loose for the Ghost and is following the Ghost as far as an offensive formation. Those 4 players working far more in unison to spring Carl Sparks because you've got Cherry Bomber, the jammer for the Vampires, in the penalty box.
Carl Sparks is one of our roller jammers, so we'll see them a lot more later tonight as well.
Okay. 30 of the Ghosts, and Sparks hits on with the tripod of the Vampires, doing a great job right now in the far corner, holding Sparks up, still in the penalty box, and now out is Cherry Bomber pushing forward. Maybe they've got Cherry Bomber as a bulldozer to replace you as you're out.
It is. We do jam very, very similar, which is fun because then when we jam against each other, we end up running into the same issues. Like our teams know how we jam, but it makes us work harder because going against other teams don't know that like I'm gonna go and do what I'm gonna do. They might pick up on it eventually, but you have an element of surprise when you travel. Like you're asking about traveling earlier. Like we love to travel when we can. It just does get a little expensive sometimes.
Sure.
We try to spread it out throughout the year.
So that jam was actually went the full 2 minutes and was called off because it just got so clogged in that far corner. There was nothing moving.
Mm-hmm. And sometimes coaches, I think the bench coaches are playing it pretty moderate or conservative tonight, is not wanting to like really tire our people out. We're trying to think about the next game, knowing that we have a lot of skaters going to be playing next game.
Well, let me ask you this question, but there are some people that aren't playing in the next game. This is a very important event for them because coaches get to see them, they get to play with the more experienced players, and if you're building people for the program, this could be a time when they could come out and shine for the coach.
It's definitely a big confidence boost for because it's a rare sport that you only play a game every couple months. Most sports you're playing a game every weekend or something. So it's a big confidence boost for these skaters who have been putting in hours to just get on the team. They finally get to get that recognition and kind of time to shine.
Do you remember your first bout?
I do. I fell a lot and it was impressive, but I ended up getting MVP jammer. So
Wow.
I did something right.
Chakra Punch breaks right through and is gearing up. The Vampires need some sort of run, and this is the perfect jammer to put in for that purpose. And Chakra Punch moving on the inside of the track, now breaking loose and is going to get a full 4 points there. So Furious George unable to crack through the blockers of
gave her a boost through unintentionally.
Yes, Chakra Punch ran into the back of Furious George and lifted her in the air and sprung her along the right side. They have moved out and are in an opportunity to score points as Chakra Punch is trying to fight through the ghost. And once again, the great footwork on the outside by Furious George keeps the jam going, the scoring opportunities alive. Great footwork. That is Furious George the most impressive of the footwork as far as your jammers go?
I'm really impressed with what I'm seeing with their footwork. Watching their last game, I believe their last game was their first bout. And so seeing her come in tonight and just be so aggressive with that footwork, it really shows that from the last bout she's improved already because previously like maybe she had gotten hit out on the side once or twice, but we've seen her come to the edge and just not even get phased. She's bounced and then bounced right back in. So I'm really impressed with just even that growth in a month.
Fantastic concentration. There's some great footwork right there as Danger breaks loose. Stranger Danger with great footwork and now footwork to the inside and speed to get past, got to get past Mad Plow Disease. And on the outside corner, even goes backwards. Wow. Haven't seen that in a while. Jammers going against each other. And this is probably some of the best roller derby action of the season with these two jammers going forward and back, elbows and laughing. Oh, what a hit. And both of them are going to go out laughing all the way. Now, Furious or Stranger Danger is down, and Mad Plow Disease is also been knocked out to the inside.
And that's fun to watch because they're both very high level jammers. And so to see them be silly and just like let loose with them is the reason why we like these games. Uh-oh, here she comes again.
Here they come again against each other, but now Danger's gonna call it off. It's a 4-4 draw as far as the jam is, and that's gonna be the intermission with the score. The Ghosts or the Undead White team 48 and the Vampires, the Undead Black team 31. Well, what did you see in the first half that you liked?
I was actually just texting my uncle a link to the thing because it reminded me of what we're doing as I used to listen to radio, baseball on the radio with him a lot growing up. So I was kind of trying to think about like how there's something special about, even if people can't see the game right now, they're listening to us like enjoy it. And I just thought that was so special. So
Well, we are enjoying it. 48. Actually, the score is going to be updated here right before they have 52 27. So no, they're going to be updated again. You know, you can never give a score in this sport because every time you try to give the score that's on the scoreboard, they continue to update as they count the points the Jammers had. So 52-31 at the half.
I think what I was, I really like seeing. I mean, I knew we were going to be playing some of our B-level skaters that haven't skated in a lot of bouts yet. But even just from like a veteran skater watching those people shine and seeing like, you know, we were talking about Curious George doing their thing, or Poetic Justice, and you know, and Snot, and these skaters, just watching them do something fun is like the best part of this. Because for the Cherry City game, you're going to be feeling more of that tension and that that competitiveness. So I think just the fun in this game so far has been my favorite part.
There you go. So we're going to go back to the studio for community calendar, and then we'll be back here for a raucous second half of 52-31. Ghosts Over the Vampires, a little Halloween theme here from Franceschi Hall. And then after that, we're going to have the main event tonight, Cherry City Rollers and our Redwood Rollers in the A game. So, community calendar.
Welcome to the KZZH Community Calendar for the week starting Friday, October 18th, 2024. On Friday, October 18th, come to the Adult Day Healthcare of Mad River Open House from 4 to 6 p.m. at Adult Day Health Center of Mad River, 3800 Janes Road in Arcata. Enjoy refreshments while you tour the center and learn about the program. Also on Friday, there's more spooky fun to be found at the Haunted Rail Tour from 7 to 11 p.m. at the Timber Heritage Association, 930 Vance Avenue in Samoa. The Timber Heritage Association, Clark Historical Museum, and North Coast Repertory Theater present ghostly thrills with Humboldt County history. Explore haunted rail cars, cryptid encounters, live performances, plus classic horror films, the Cryptid Lab mini escape, Bigfoot trolley rides, and a spooky night market. Find out about ticket pricing by emailing lilania@clarkmuseum.org or by calling 707-443-1947. On Saturday, October 19th, there will be a book sale and autographing session from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Eureka Library, 1313 3rd Street. Authors from the Humboldt County Children's Author Festival will be at the library for a special public book sale and autographing session. Find out more at humlib.org. Also on Saturday, swing by the Bike Library from 12 to 4 p.m. at the Bike Library, 1286 L Street in Arcata. There will be hands-on repair lessons and general maintenance, used bicycles, and parts for sale. Donations of parts and bicycles will be gladly accepted. Email nothingtoseehere@riseup.net for more information. On Sunday, October 13th, the HBG Summer Music Series continues from 1 to 3 p.m. at the Humboldt Botanical Garden, 7351 Tompkins Hill Road, College of the Redwoods campus, North Entrance in Eureka. Enjoy live music in the garden every first and third Sunday through October. Go to hbgf.org to find out more. Also on Sunday, check out the Old Town Vintage Market from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. at G Street between 2nd and 3rd in Old Town Eureka. This is a day of local vintage clothing, art and craft vendors, food, and music by DJ Goldilocks. Email hello@redwoodretro.com or call 707-601-9667 to find out more. Finally, on Sunday, come to the Eureka Waterfront guided birding trip from 9 to 11 a.m. on the Eureka Waterfront at the foot of Del Norte Street. This relatively urban trail offers the potential to observe species abundance and diversity. Email thebook@redanet.com to sign up or go to rras.org to find out more. On Monday, October 21st, explore the Phoenix of Gaza XR project from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. at Cal Poly Humboldt, 1 Harp Street in Arcata, with a talk entitled Gaza Unveiled, a virtual reality expedition into pre- and post-war realities. This event will take place in the Behavioral and Social Sciences Building, Room 162, as a part of Campus Community Dialogue on Race. Email cdor@humboldt.edu or call 707-826-3011 to find out more. On Tuesday, October 22nd, you are invited to the Humboldt Stamp Collectors Club from 6 to 8 p.m. at the Humboldt Senior Resource Center, 1910 California Street in Eureka. New collectors and experts welcome. You can learn about stamps, collecting, and see local experts in stamps share their collections. Email humstampclub@gmail.com for more information. Also on Tuesday, check out the Old Town Certified Farmers Market from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the Old Town Gazebo, 2nd and F Streets in Eureka. There will be fruits and vegetables, bread, donuts, jam, crafts, and live music. No pets, but trained ADA certified service animals are welcome. CalFresh EBT customers are able to receive a market match at every farmer's market. Call 707-441-9999 to find out more. On Wednesday, October 23rd, don't miss the Humboldt Healthcare for All meeting from 5 to 6:30 p.m. at the Sanctuary, 1301 J Street in Arcata. The local chapter of Humboldt Healthcare for All and Physicians for a National Health Program meet in person and via Zoom every fourth Wednesday. Email healthcareforallhumboldt@gmail.com for the meeting link. On Thursday, October 24th, you can attend the McKinleyville Chamber of Commerce Mixer from 5:30 to 7 p.m. at Co-Central Credit Union, 1968 Central Avenue in McKinleyville. Join the Chamber and co-host Co-Central Credit Union for networking, refreshments, a raffle, and more. Email mckinleyvillechamber@gmail.com or call 707-839-2449. Also on Thursday, do some food shopping at the Henderson Center Certified Farmers Market from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. in Henderson Center near F Street in Eureka. There will be fruits and vegetables, baked goods, jams, nursery plants, music, and hot food vendors. No pets are allowed, but trained ADA certified service animals are welcome. CalFresh EBT customers receive a market match at every farmer's market. Email info@northcoastgrowsassociation.org or call 707-441-9999 to find out more. The League of Women Voters is accepting nominations to honor individuals or groups for their volunteer work at the State of the Community Luncheon. Provide your name, address, and the best way to contact you with your nomination, including the name of the person or group you are nominating and how they've made a positive contribution to our community by December 2nd. Please send it to State of the Community Luncheon Committee, Maggie Fleming, P.O. Box 252, Eureka, California, 95502, or email maggiefleming2018@gmail.com. Personas, College of the Redwoods literary journal with a multilingual focus, is accepting submissions of original poetry, fiction, creative nonfiction, essays, and art that considers the experience of multilingualism. Writers need not be multilingual to contribute, and writings may be multilingual, bilingual, or monolingual. Open to community members, Sierra staff, faculty, and students. Deadline is midnight on March 16th, 2025. Email jonathan-maiulo@redwoods.edu with the subject line Personas Submission and the title of your work. To submit your nonprofit event to the KZZH community calendar, go to kzzh.accesshumboldt.net and follow the community calendar link located near the top of the page. Your event information will be read twice a day, at noon and 5 p.m. on weekdays and at noon on the weekends. Your event information will also be shared on Access Humboldt TV's bulletin board. Access Humboldt, local voices through community media. For KZZH in Eureka, I'm Isabella Vanderheyden.
Welcome back to Franceschi Hall, where it's a doubleheader here of the Humboldt Roller Derby. And tonight's first game, a festive game, an exhibition game between members of the Humboldt Roller Derby. They've been broken up into two squads. The Undead Roller Derby Expo, white and black, but the whites call themselves the Ghosts. The blacks are the Vampires. At the intermission, it's 52-31 in favor of the Ghosts. Game featuring some skaters that we'll see in the second game, the A game, where the Redwood Rollers will be going up against the Cherry City Roller Derby. Cherry City hailing from the Cherry City, Salem, Oregon. And so they'll be in the second game as well. But this game really a chance for the Humboldt Roller Derby to see different players, players that have just come up from training camp, players that have made their way up through the Bettys and the Widowmakers, and have got a chance now to skate tonight. Not an official B game, but have get some bouts under their belts, so to speak. So, and get that experience as the team is always replenishing itself. So we're getting ready for the second half. And as we saw in the first half, the tripods, the blockers will move up. And this has been a successful strategy, it seems, for the rollers to really take on the jammers right at the start, right at the jam line. So we're seeing a breakaway here. And Cloverkill, who is a jammer of note for the Redwood Rollers. Cloverkill getting a little action in this game and breaking loose and calling off the jam very quickly. Furious George had broken loose, but had yet to make it up to the defenders to go ahead and get in a position to score points. So Cloverkill gets the 4 points, calls off the jam. A 4-0 jam makes it 52-35.
Got Cherry Bomber lining up against looks like Malice.
You know, it's getting harder to see who's lining up against who because those defenders are really stacked up. And when I said there's 16 people, I meant there's 5 on the track at a time, but the jammers are kind of separate from the blockers in a sense. Great move there as Cherry Bomber was held up by Danger. What a great job of blocking by Danger. And we have Malice in Wonderland wearing the 86th jersey, pushing ahead and into the pack, going for a bulldozer type jam and breaking free. Meanwhile, Cherry Bomber having a hard time. The blockers are really going after them. Malice in Wonderland, a second trip around, and now following in unison the blockers for the Ghosts, and she's stripped past them and on to the blockers for the Vampires, and they're doing a great job in a far corner.
This is the they're at a power jam, so the Ghosts just all of it they decided to do some offense, but then they pulled back. There's different strategies. Like sometimes you want to hold back and just get out of the way. Other times your jammer needs your help.
Why would falling back ever be a good strategy? Because don't you need those blockers to kind of go ahead and screen so that the jammer can get past?
I think it depends on the jammer because sometimes I like them to stay out of my way so I can just like ping pong and push people. But sometimes I'll look back and literally say, help.
You like to push people, don't you?
I do. It's my favorite. So, but then with other times, if you keep yourself back, you're also keeping the pack back and then causing them to have to drop someone. So it's like, it works for different strategies. And you trust that some of the players out there, like Tula is a veteran skater, and you could tell she kind of was leading the way of like what to do in that situation.
So starting the next jam, that was a 7-0 run on the last jam, 59-37 in favor of the Ghosts. And breaking loose, Poetic Justice, who this is kind of a coming out party as far as a jammer for Poetic Justice, right?
Yeah, and it's the last game they played was against a really tough opponent, and so it's really great to see them having this success. Just it builds your confidence as an athlete in general to get to do some things well.
Meanwhile, Stranger Danger, Stranger Danger, pound for pound, might be one of the hardest hitters and roughest players on the rink.
Yes, absolutely. They are very similar to like Eco, and you'll see Carl. Carl's more of a jammer, but those Eco and Danger are just we got lucky. They transferred from other leagues, so
really?
We were happy to swoop them up.
It was a 3-0 jam in favor of the Vampires. So now 59-40, the Ghosts ahead. There's 15:58 to go.
I could see Black coming back from this. I really do. I kind of hope they do just because I love a good little last minute turnaround.
Well, Snot is trying to get through right now, but being banged up pretty good. And now Snot comes out of nowhere. Holy cow! Just the middle of the pack just popped out like coming out through a gopher hole or something. Unbelievable move, and then smashing into Furious George. And Snot really impressive.
Yeah. Diligent. Hey, always say you can fall as long as you fall in the right way and you get back up quick.
There you go. Snot calls off the jam.
Lose her footing, but she just kind of made it work.
Now, if they fall, you can get back up. It's not a problem, right?
Yeah, as long as you don't, if you fall out, that's a little different. You need to reset yourself behind people that you hadn't passed yet. But if you fall inside, you stand right back up. Now, defenders cannot touch you while you're down. It's a pretty aggressive penalty, and if you get one, the ref sometimes will come talk to you and say, "Hey, don't let that happen again," because it's just dangerous.
There you go. So it's 4-0 in favor of the Vampires that time, 59-44. And it looks like Slam Chowder, usually a pivot player, going ahead and trying to learn the jammer position, pushing ahead against Shreddy. And
she's just tucking her head and just continuing to push through. It's like never once.
Well, Daddy Longlegs and Shreddy ever jammed up. Meanwhile, far back, Cherry Bomber still hasn't crossed the near corner line, and Slam is loose. Slam Chowder.
Carries loose. This the Ghost team is predominantly actually a full set of jammers are blocking. You have Sprocket, Carl, and Skatelin.
So there's folks playing some different roles, and as you said, they're usually jammers, but Chowder usually a pivot, and Chowder calls off the jam. That time a more equal jam. Ghosts 4, Vampires 3, so 63-47. Got to say, these people keeping score. They're amazing.
Oh, they do it so quick.
They might be the best scorekeepers in Humboldt County in any sport because they are working this board and they are picking up the points as fast as it goes. The score projected on the far wall here at Franceschi Hall. Even with the themes of the Ghosts and Vampires up there tonight.
We have Torque and Beans skating for the Ghosts. One of my personal favorite names, Torque and Beans.
Torque and Beans.
She does love beans too, so.
Oh yeah, well I love beans. Everybody gotta love beans. And that was Poetic Justice breaking through. And Poetic Justice coming around again to try to score some points. Sprocket Rocket with a big hit there. Driving Torque and Beans, or driving Poetic Justice out. Torque and Beans is headed for the penalty box. So Power Jam Vampires, if you're going to catch up, this is how to do it. But Danger is going to knock Poetic Justice down on the inside. Poetic Justice has to go back past all of the players and start again.
Black team is doing this thing to Sprocket called goading, and it's where they hold one of the other players back in order to get the pack to be back here to then give their jammer time to get up on the top.
Well, Torque and Beans
it worked
back into. So how did it work? Explain that.
When you goat someone, so you have 4 defensive people and they hold one of the other team back. You now have 5 people. That is the majority pack. So if you have the majority pack, the other people up there trying to stop your jammers have to spread out because you can't be out of play. You have to be within 10 feet of the majority pack. So if they hold the pack back, the other team has to bridge and slowly drop one player. And that's my favorite because I look at the players and say, you got to let me go. And it's basically a free pass through.
Chakra Punch breaking loose. And this is an important time. It's 63-51. So you were right. Vampires catching up, and they've got the all-world jammer for the Redwood Roller Derby working for them right now. I'm sure we'll see Chakra Punch in the game against the Cherry Bombers. And they are duking it out on the inside. A great clearing block. My goodness. Destroyer did just that.
Jess is I say that with disdain because she's such a great player, but I hate playing against her. I love playing with her. When she's on my team, I feel amazing. When I go against her, it is tough.
63-55 as this is tightening up. And the Ghosts unable to get anything going. Torque and Beans is their jammer right now, but looking a little winded as running into some powerful opposition by the Vampires. Meanwhile,
So they're bridging, and Chakra is about to get let through. And I wonder if Tula will take a panty pass. Sometimes when your jammer can't get through, it's best for them to just take the panty off and pass it to someone else who's not as tired.
yeah, and you should explain that the amount of energy it takes when you're in some of the middle of these tripods and trying to push these folks so that you can try to break loose. I mean, it's exhausting, right?
Yeah. It's jamming is definitely like a harder like endurance wise. It's hard because they each are tough. Like when I block, I'm always like, wow, that's a different kind of hard. Jamming's also really hard because mentally it's exhausting because you're the only one that can score. So you have this mentality of like, I'm the quarterback. I've got to get through. I've got to get the ball, or basically me down the line. So it's not only physically exhausting, but mentally it's also tough because you feel like, everyone's watching you.
Well, yes, you're the game. That was an Chakra Punch 8-0 run against the Ghosts, and all of a sudden, look at a scoreboard 63-59. Now, I want to go back to about earlier in the year that looked like the toughest opponent I'd seen the Redwood Rollers take on. They had the Bakersfield team.
The Diamond Divas. That's who I thought you were going to say.
Oh, my God. And they had, it looked like it was impossible for the Jammers to break loose.
I was watching the footage afterwards with my husband, actually, and he noticed that they play like football players. So they were running some wedge defenses where they were wedging like almost like like a arrow of
doom.
Literally. And the cool thing is like, yeah, we lost to them, but coming out of that game, our team had such a fire under us to be like, we want to beat those kinds of teams and we want to get better, which it's the only sport where you lose and you're just like, wow, that was awesome. We did such a good job losing. We're going to go back to the drawing board and keep kicking butt and working hard.
Well, working hard right now is Furious George, who the Ghosts have need a little spark, and they are giving the Ghosts the spark right now.
If I had to put my vote in, I'm hoping she gets some recognition for this jamming tonight, because really just showing up and showing her team they can rely on her. She's getting through like crazy.
Doing a great job. One of the smaller players on the team, and in there competing.
Cracks me up the outfits, because I see them normally and they look so intense, and then they've got these silly, goofy outfits on. And
so calling off the jam, and that's just what the Ghosts needed. An 8-0 run, 71-59. They've opened up a 12-point advantage on the Vampires once again. So do the coaches go back and assess this game? I mean, this might be the most important action of the night in some ways, to see how certain people went ahead and performed doing new things on the rink.
Yeah, sometimes we'll have actually footage watching nights where we don't even practice. We just come together and watch footage. And
really,
we'll stop it. Across the track, you'll see that Trey is actually videotaping, and they get really great footage close up of what we're doing right, what we're doing wrong. It's also really important as a player to watch yourself back. Like, I'll watch the videos of myself playing. Because honestly, when you're out there, you don't really remember what's going on.
Big hit there. Danger just knocked Snot out of the ring. How about that for a call? And
we're gonna do a panty pass.
Bjorn Wicked looked like Snot is going to break loose. Bjorn Wicked is still fighting to pass. And Snot has been sent to the penalty box, actually. So it's a power jam for the Ghosts.
Now she passed it to Danger, which
Panty pass to Danger. Danger, the pivot, is going to take the panty with the star on it, become the jammer. That's the one move you can make.
It will be a full 2-minute jam because the lead jammer went to the box.
So here comes Danger. Stranger danger around the second corner and into, and a great move there to the inside. And that's 4 quick points. And the white team, the Ghosts, who were their big lead had been cut to just 4 points, have gone on a couple of great runs here in the second half. 6:51 to go. Right now they're on a 7-0 run. Snot is back on the track as the jammer tried to do a jump to the inside but was knocked out. They're in turn number 3, the far upper corner of the Franceschi Hall, and Snot has broken loose and has a chance to head around, but before they're able to come up to get into a scoring opportunity, Danger is going to call off the jam, an 11-4 jam, as that one ran a little longer.
Yeah, so you get more points in it. Now, question for you. When you say underwriters for this business, is that like your guys' sponsors?
Yes, and I should say you're listening to KZZH Radio 96.7 Eureka Community Radio from Access Humboldt, and our underwriters have been with us all season. The Speakeasy Bar, New Orleans-inspired custom-built bar, local fresh ingredients, cocktails, live jazz, blues, and more. Located at 411 Opera Alley. Breaking loose there is Carl Sparks. Looked like they may have got a Charlie horse getting roughed up as they came through the blockers, but now coming here to the near corner and cutting through. A great move by Sparks and able to pick up 4 points for the Ghost, breaking through. Poetic Justice also coming through for the Vampires. Poetic Justice got the panty passed to them. They started out as the pivot.
No, they took the panty off. They did not receive a pass. So one of the tricks you can do is you take the panty off, pretending like you're going to give it to your pivot. And then what happens is the defense drops off of you and goes to stop the pivot. And then you still have the panty in your hand and you
put the panty back on. The fake panty removal.
It works.
There you go.
Works 9 times out of 10.
9 times out of 10.
But you cannot score without the panty on your head. So as soon as you get out, you have
that
to
may have been one of the
you.
greatest sentences in the history of radio broadcasting. You cannot score unless you have the panty on your head. Remember that, fans.
It's good advice from roller derby.
It is good advice from roller derby. The Rennie Public Law Group, providing legal services to public agencies throughout California, practicing public law in public interest. And Juan Pablo Cervantes reminding you that Tuesday, November 5th is the big one. Tuesday, November 5th, 2024, the first Tuesday after the first Monday in November. You can find information about voting, your polling place, your ballot drop-off centers, and ways that you can track your ballot. Humboldt_elections at co.humboldt.ca.us. 87-63, 4:48 to go. And what has been a very enjoyable lark, so to speak, for the, I would say, mission accomplished as far as offering the entertainment and also getting players to get some experience. Sprocket Rocket is very impressive when they are skating and
so fast.
Yes, and break fast as a different kind of fast. I think fast in the start, really ready to hit the holes and break through.
Also see them go low around the corners and just get around people like I've never seen people get around. So what happens though with a fast jammer is it speeds the whole game up. Do you see how everybody starts matching their speed? It's not usually smart to do that because then you open up holes and they can kind of ping pong their way through.
But that's what they want though, right?
Because I would rather ping pong than hit a wall. Because if they can tripod and wall up, it's harder for me to get through. But if they're all spread out, I can zigzag through them.
There you go. Well, I noticed that time too. That was interesting is that Sprocket Rocket grabbed Slam Chatter was the pivot, and they were going at a high speed, and
Truck and
Sprocket Rocket
trailer.
was just just following.
Yep, it's called a truck and trailer.
Truck and trailer.
I don't know if you've ever seen her play, but we had a old skater named Flogging Molly, and her and I used to do that move where she would be my truck and I'd be her trailer, and she would just plow through everyone, and I would just kind of hide behind her and then scooch through.
Well, no truck and trailer on this current jam. Torque and Beans for the Ghosts is having a difficult time on their own getting through. They finally broke through as the defense did go ahead and lag off. And it's poetic justice for the Vampires. Torque and Beans smashing into Daddy Longlegs, but breaking through and scoring points. Here comes Poetic Justice. The jam has been called off by Torque and Beans. Good work on the far corner there, able to cut through 4-0 as far as the jam, 92-64. This was a 63-59, so a 29-5 run for the Ghosts. That's pretty quick math in my head.
Sounds good.
You'd like that?
I better than I can do sometimes. Now, I did want to say our bench coaches tonight are for the Vampires. We have Maud Behavior and Braun Luke Picard, and Braun will actually be your co-host for the next game.
Malice in Wonderland has gone ahead and is in front in the jam for the Ghost, trying to break through the defense here around the original jam line, but the Vampires able to get set. Now a good inside move and breaking loose.
She was patient.
Malice in Wonderland.
Good panty pass to Mad Plow Disease.
Mad Plow Disease gets the panty pass in.
So Malice is probably going to want to hit it and quit it because
has put on, and leaps over the corner, but does not get the play. Mad Plow Disease in danger. I've had quite a few skirmishes here tonight, and they've been very entertaining. Now, let me ask this question. You get past the pivot, you get past the panty. You have to have it on your head to score?
Yep.
You can't just hold it in your hand.
And it can be sideways, so you can see hers is a little mismatched sideways. It's fine as long as it's mainly on.
As long as it's on the head. 1:04 to go here in game number one. The Ghosts are going to take it from the Vampires.
We've got Skater down. I can't tell if it's for injury or if it's for mechanical issues.
We don't know. Calling out the coach is currently a 6-0 jam, but a jam has been called off. The clock
will be stopped. And any injury is considered like a timeout at nobody's fault. They want to make sure it's safe.
So 36 seconds to go in the bout, 98-67.
Coaches did a really good job matching these two teams up. I will say, like, it felt very fair, which is always a satisfying feeling is when you beat someone fair and square.
Well, I mean, will the Ghosts make the Vampires pay up in some way, or
maybe some extra laps at practice or something? I think they're all just going to be happy to go back to take a break, and then when they get ready for the next game, they can take a sigh of relief that they're not playing each other now. They can kind of turn. Because you see like Danger and some of them kind of laughing and joking with each other. That's the camaraderie. That's going to very much turn into competitiveness here coming up.
We get another underwriter in. KZZH broadcast of the Humboldt Roller Derby is also supported by Cafe Brio on the Arcata Plaza and opened every day from 8 to 3 with brunch all weekend for dine-in, patio, seating, and takeout. And just reminding you that we are here on 96.7 KZZH Radio, Eureka Community Radio from Access Humboldt.
You guys are just like us, where we rely and appreciate our sponsors heavily.
Absolutely. I mean, that's how the magic happens. That's how you get on the air. And it's been great because I want to commend you all. This has been, you can obviously tell when you're here how well received roller derby has been here in Humboldt County and the event that it really is.
Yeah, it was definitely a welcome, something that was very welcome back, especially after COVID years. You know, we used to have so many events in Humboldt, and I think over the last year or so, we've kind of been just coming back in all realms.
So, were you on the original team?
No, so I actually transferred up here from Sacramento. So I skated with Sacramento for 2 or 3 years on their competitive B team, which is a little different because Sacramento has so many teams, whereas Humboldt's a smaller league. But I moved up here to finish my teaching degree, and I kind of knew the team and I helped volunteer, but I didn't have the time to skate. So then COVID happened, and now I'm able to. I came back full time 2 years ago during the resurrection, and it's been really fun to kind of be here for the rebirth because it's kind of a new team. So looks like our skater who was injured is up and walking.
Were there actually teams that lost their teams through the pandemic?
It was a very real thing that happened for people. So we feel very appreciative that our community has rallied around us and allowed us to still, have the space to rent the buildings and do the things. A lot of teams just didn't have the people to come back. People moved away or changed life jobs or whatever it may be.
So clock is reset to 51 seconds, 98:67. This will be the last jam of the night. I guess it could get called off. What am I saying?
Looks like Cherry's going for a ramble scramble. Yep.
Yeah, Cherry Bomber. And that is the fastest that Cherry Bomber got through the blockers tonight. And it's a power jam because already in the penalty box and Cherry Bomber making another move to the outside. Having some confrontation with Sprocket and is going to go ahead and score some points.
Looks like Malice
uncontested.
Malice came out and then went back into the penalty box. So I'm not sure what that was about. She might have left too early and got another penalty.
So Cherry Bomber on a uncontested power jam and finally calls off the jam with 4 seconds to go. So I guess we are going to have one more.
I was going to say maybe she could just keep going, but that clock would have stopped her.
So an 8-0 run makes it 98-75. And it's posted that that's the unofficial score. I guess the officials will go ahead and confirm, although
I bet they're going to give us another jam. That's just my bias. Oh, it's the unofficial score. Sometimes when things are that close, we go based on the officials. If they felt like it was called at the last second, then
there you go. And there's a lot of officials that come out for each game. You've got 7 officials that are, inside track, outside track on the jammers.
Yep.
And
when I say we couldn't do it without them, we really couldn't. Legally, according to WIFTA, we couldn't do it without them. But they volunteer their time. They volunteered to learn and to train on their own time.
It's amazing. So there's your final score. It's going to be 98-75 in favor of the Ghosts. Some fantastic action, letting players play some different positions, trying out players at Jammer tonight. And we'll see who sticks for game 2 with the big squad, fans coming out and slapping hands with the players. Welcome, roller derby fans, to KZZH 96.7's broadcast of tonight's sanctioned A game in the roller derby, a bout between the Redwood Rollers, our Redwood Rollers, and the Cherry City Roller Derby. This is a rematch. These two teams played in March. It was up in Salem, Oregon, the Cherry City, where Cherry City hails from. And that did not go too well for Redwood Rollers. Redwood Rollers had 2 bouts early in the season, one against the Bakersfield Diamond Divas, the other against Cherry City, in which bigger, stronger teams pushed them around, and they were able to rebound after that. Remember, they came out with that great win against Santa Cruz after that. So this is a grudge match kind of game, a home and home series. You got to defend your home floor here at Franceschi Hall. The lightness and the fun of game one, the Vampires and Ghosts exhibition match, is that is lifted. Vacation's over, because this is the real deal here, as back with Cherry City in the sanction bout that will get going in just a few minutes. The Redwood Rollers were going ahead and giving MVPs of tonight's exhibition contest. We're hoping to get Furious George, who was one of the MVPs, on in a radio interview, and then we'll have Braun Luke Picard do the game with us tonight in the second game. Here comes Furious. Sitting down, only the second bout for Furious George, and already an MVP of the bout, huh?
Yeah, I guess so.
What do you mean you guess so? Did they give you the award?
They did.
Well, then yes, there's no guessing about it. That's right. So congratulations.
Jam.
Most valuable jammer. And this was only the second time out on Franceschi Hall Saturday night.
Yes, that's my second game of the season. Yeah.
So tell me, is this your rookie season?
Yeah, it's my first season playing with the league.
And so you went through the training camp.
I did. I started level 1 training camp last year in August and passed up to level 2. And then before I knew it, I was playing with the league. I did not intend. I wasn't sure I actually wanted to play roller derby.
Well, now, wait a second. Take a step back. Take a huge step back, because you've got to, for God's sake, training camp must be intense.
Well, I don't want to say that, because we want people to join, and they're actually very supportive. Level 1 has no contact. You're learning basic skating skills, how to stop, how to be safe. And if you're ready and you want to do it, level 2 is where we start doing contact. So we get eased into it.
What made you sign up?
Frog and boiling water. That's what it
wow.
was. Yeah. Then eventually.
Wait. You said you wanted to say things to make people want to do it. Do I want to be a frog in boiling water?
What I mean is, little by little, I loved it, and I kept coming back, and I made the team and I started playing. And now I'm like totally committed.
What made you start? What was it in your mind that said, I want to try that?
I came here to Redwood Acres years ago, way before COVID, to watch them play. I heard there was this thing called roller derby. I had no idea. So I came to watch them play, and it looked really cool. I was just amazed by the players, kind of like a little bit in awe. Looked kind of scary, but I thought it was really cool. And I kind of it was in the back of my mind for a couple of years, and then COVID rolled around. So they weren't doing training camps. Kept my eye out for it. And as soon as they started back up, I said, I want to try it. I wanted something different. And I decided to join it.
So was there a friend or someone that recruited you, so to speak?
Nope.
No, you just did it on your own.
Yep.
That's outstanding.
Yeah.
So who were you drafted by originally, the Bettys or the Widowmakers?
I'm with the North Jetty Betties.
You're a Betty.
Yeah.
Okay, so then you go there, and then your first bout was as a B team player in the last bout in September, correct?
Correct, with Root Force.
With Root Force. So how did, take me through that? Nervous?
I was so nervous. I was fine until game day. And then I realized I was super nervous. I went out. I couldn't I felt like I couldn't skate. I was off balance. My ankles were getting really tired. It was really strange. And then we went up against Southern Oregon and they were so strong. And I was primarily jamming and I was pushing, and they had some amazing blockers. And it was hard. It was very hard. Yeah.
And I don't think that we can convey on the radio. I don't think that people can understand just the amount of effort it takes to push through those tripods, to push through those defensive formations that the blockers throw out there.
Absolutely. It's really hard because if you can imagine, you're not pushing on your feet, you're pushing on skates. So you've got to use your feet. You got to be strategic about how you brace yourself, getting on your toes. And it is exhausting. And when you're trying to go up against 4 people that are bigger than you, in my case, that's usually the case. It can be very hard.
Now, speaking of using your feet, one thing I think why you probably were awarded the jammer of the match, your footwork on the corners especially was outstanding in the last match. Do you practice that?
Yeah, so during practice, I am primarily working on my jamming skills. So when we do different drills, I usually play the role of the jammer. I'm really trying to develop those skills. Just remind myself staying on my toes as much as I can because that really helps propel myself forward. And if I see a little opening, I do my best to take it.
You know, Carhartt Crush was the color announcer for the last match, and she was talking about she's a bulldozer jammer. She goes straight into the defense and pushes through. But that's not your style.
No, that I rarely does that work very well for me. It is really hard for me to push through people. Some jammers can do that where their approach is just to kind of plow right down the middle, and eventually they have to start dropping blockers because as they move away from the pack, they have to start dropping blockers from the pack. And so eventually you're going up against 2 people and then 1 person. And so you can kind of break.
So the lanes open up for you.
Yeah, but that is not a strategy that works that well for me. I have to really try to move around a lot, kind of get the blockers to move it back and forth until they eventually break up a little bit and I can find a place to break through.
Now, have you set goals for yourself as far as, boy, I'd like to be on the rollers next season. I'd like to be on the A team.
I am taking it one practice at a time. I know eventually I'd like to be skating with the rollers. I'm not in a rush.
You're not in a rush.
Not in a hurry.
Let me ask you this. Were you an athlete in high school? Did you play sports of any nature in high school?
Yeah, I've always been involved in sports. When I was a kid, I did martial arts and soccer. Primarily I was a soccer player. And then during college, I started rock climbing. So I've been primarily rock climbing for the past 12 years until I joined Derby, and kind of a lot of my focus has shifted. I still rock climb, but it's taken a bit of a back seat.
Wow. I would think that this takes a lot of commitment. That being said, so you're an athlete in some sports, and were you roller skating ever at all?
I rollerbladed a little bit when I was a kid, and I did a little bit of ice skating as well. I think probably between the ages of 10 and 12, I rollerbladed quite a bit. I'd also go to the skating rink. I grew up in Fortuna, and we have the skating rink there, so I would go there on Friday nights. But that's about it.
Now, whether you're talking about Fortuna or Blue Lake or wherever they have roller skating, do potential roller derby people go out and roller skate and practice?
I think some of them do. I think we have some of our players that actually go to the skate parks I think that's more common.
Oh, really?
Yeah, most of the track time, the skate time we get is here at the track. But some of us do some of the other players, I should say, go to the skate park.
Now, let me ask this. I think you kind of got to be my age, but I don't know. Did they used to have roller derby on TV when you were a kid?
No.
Roller derby was on TV when I was a kid.
I never saw any roller derby.
Oh no,
until I
it was
came
on
here to
TV. But they had the bank track.
I've seen YouTube videos about that.
Yeah, well, they did, and I used to watch the roller derby broadcast. But this is an interesting brand of roller derby because it doesn't have the bank track, and because it doesn't have the bank track, what you did tonight, those moves along the end lines to get away, those are moves that were never seen prior in roller derby, not before, because the track wasn't like that.
Yeah, I hear it might be a little more challenging to kind of curve around the outsides if the track is flat, but I don't know. I can't imagine trying to stay upwards of the center of the track on an angled track.
Well, so the flat track roller derby is what has caught on here in the pre-pandemic and post-pandemic era of local roller derby. So that's it's a incredible innovation, and I think it makes it much harder. Well, right on for you.
Thank you.
And then there's one more match that's going to take place in November. Are you going to at least be on the B squad, the Roots?
I hope to be, yeah.
For that one, that's what
As
you're working towards.
Everything goes according to plan. We do have a bit of we have attendance requirements for practice to be able to roster on the teams. So as long as my attendance stays up, and I intended to, and I don't get injured, I can be playing.
Well, good luck to you, Furious George, a future that will be calling here on KZZH as they climb the ranks of the roster. Well, thank you very much for joining us. Your first radio interview?
Done a couple here.
You've done a couple. Oh, listen to you, an old veteran. All right, thank you very much. Furious George, the jammer of the match, the MVP jammer of the opening match tonight, which the Ghosts beat the Vampires. Teams are being introduced right now, and one thing about this, Redwood Rollers versus Cherry City Roller Derby. Roller derby is a pretty contact sport, but thank God they don't have to wrestle them. My goodness, the Cherry City team looks like a team that has a lot of size. Joining me now, Luc Picard. Braun.
Hey, Paul, how's it going?
It's going well.
I just ate a whole bunch of nachos really fast.
There you go, as you should. Were you in the match in March against Cherry City?
I was not. I am on the team, but I didn't travel to that particular game. But it was a tough game for our Humboldt roller derby team. So this is a bit of a redemption game.
It seemed like early in the season there were two bouts back to back, the Bakersfield Diamond Divas and the Cherry City Roller. My goodness.
Those were some tough games.
Those were some tough. And then the team came out against Santa Cruz that was supposedly ranked higher than Bakersfield, and blew them out of the hall that night.
Absolutely.
So, obviously, games like this against teams like this make you a lot tougher.
Yeah, it could be anyone's game tonight. I really think so. And this is a different lineup than we saw in the away game. That our Humboldt roller derby Redwood Rollers played against Cherry City on their home court. So this is a different group of skaters. So we'll see what happens tonight.
Well, it's a smaller group of skaters as far as the actual number of players. Is that something that occurs often in the road games for teams, that they get who they can get up?
Yeah, it looks like they didn't field a full 15 skaters, maybe 12 or so. And that happens a lot with travel games. Sometimes people just aren't able to travel that far. And it's tough. You know, we're behind the Redwood curtain, so it's a little bit tricky to get folks to come play us. But we've had a long time rivalry with Cherry City, so this will be a fun one. Yeah.
And this has gone back as long as Humboldt's been in the league?
Yeah, you know, I think at least 2010 or maybe even further back. Humboldt Roller Derby has been around since about 2006. And so we're coming up on almost 20 years in a couple years here.
Well, and so Cherry City from Salem, Oregon. Does Oregon have a strong league as far as the number of teams up there?
There are a lot of teams in Oregon, and actually the best team in the world is, as of this last year, is in Portland. So definitely a strong roller derby culture. And one of the things we saw with the Cherry City game is there were some skaters who skate both in Salem and in Portland. So that added a lot of strength to their team.
Have you ever played the Portland team?
No, we're in a different kind of ranking than them, so I'm not sure that we might play one of their other teams. They have quite a lot of teams within their league. That could happen.
Right on. Well, just want to remind folks, as the Redwood Rollers have been introduced and are skating around waving to the crowd, you're listening to KZZH 96.7. Eureka Community Radio from Access Humboldt. We are the broadcast station of the Redwood Roller Derby, and happy to do this game here tonight, a rematch between Cherry City and the Redwood Rollers. Braun, would Cherry City go ahead and skate against Portland?
I don't know that I've seen them in some tournaments before. That was pre-COVID. So I will say, you know, like many sports, COVID-19 kind of shook up our sport. They definitely did play in some tournaments where they were both at the same tournament. I'm not sure they ever played each other, but it's possible. Yeah, I don't know that for sure. But you know, there's a lot of players in the kind of metropolitan areas of Portland that do kind of crossover between leagues. So I bet there's some folks here who have skated with Portland.
All right, getting ready for the first jam, and it is packed at the line, and already contact happening, and Cherry City has broken loose. That's
and we've got Sprocket Rocket out of the pack.
Rocket, who's a great jammer for Humboldt, breaking out of the pack. It's also Poise and Grace, who is the lead jammer for Cherry City, and they're going to call off the jam. Let's see, as far as points are awarded, 4-0. What do you have to do to beat this team tonight?
You know, we've really got to control who gets out of the pack first. So as we just saw, Cherry City did a great job right off the line, getting a player, their jammer, through the pack quickly. That's a combination of good defense and offense right off the starting line. So there has to be absolutely no pause, lots of assertiveness.
So Cloverkill in for Humboldt and making a great move along the line.
Awesome, Clover. So Clover got out first.
What a job skating along the outside line and staying in balance. Now Cloverkill, a very quick looking defensive setup, and Cloverkill making some great moves, now bumped out on the far side of turn number 2. And here comes.
That jam call off happened really quickly. So
Yeah.
I think we're going to see a lot of that tonight. I think we're going to see short jams that are focused on points and a real strategic effort to get points.
And I was just about to say, here comes Fern Spike. And before Fern Spike met the Humboldt defenders, Cloverkill went ahead and called off the jam. So is that the strategy? Don't even let them get that a point or two?
Typically, yeah. I think especially as we're feeling them out, as both teams are feeling each other out, these first few jams are probably going to be short and intense bursts of energy.
Well, speaking of intense, this is Chakra Punch being held by the tripod of the Cherry City and then breaking loose for.
We've got Rosie McCobb for Cherry City, who just got through, did a really cool twister move on the inside line there. And
now a hop.
Yep. They jumped the line on that inner part of the track.
So Rosie McCobb for Cherry City out in front in the jam and scoring. Then knocked out on the far side by Daddy Longlegs and driven out. And then coming out of the pack out of turn 3 and ahead on a run here, 8-1 on this jam. Humboldt falling behind early, the Redwood Rollers falling behind. And
so we've got Shocker
Rosie
Punch, who
McCobb.
really made it out of the pack, but not soon enough to get points, unfortunately.
Calling off the jam is Rosie McCobb, and that's going to be an 8-0, or they're going to call it 8-1. But you know what? I should always wait because every time you call a score, they add more. A 12-1 jam for Cherry City, and not a good start for Redwood Rollers. 16-1 with just over 26 minutes to go here in the first period.
Yeah, so they're going to be able to get points up until the last possible moment. So when the jam is called off, you'll see the jammer touch their hips, the lead jammer touch their hips with both hands 4 times in a row. And so it's only after that 4th time they touch their hips that they stop earning points on as far as their.
Well, let me ask this. Can you change your mind? Can you fake?
You can cease calling off the jam. So you could tap your hips twice and not do 4 times. And that would mean that the jam was not called off. So sometimes people change their mind.
Here we go, lining up. Cherry City pushing ahead. Once again, hammering that bulldozer style for Poison Grace, and Poison Grace out in front. And oh my goodness, some tremendous blocking by Cherry City. What's very obvious is the size difference between these two teams. And now calling off the jam is Poison Grace. It was a 4-0 run at the moment, 20-1 Cherry City over the Redwood Rollers, and a tremendous block by C.J. Crusher.
So we're seeing the Cherry City team, their bench is closest to the starting line, to the jam line, and we are seeing them take that back line. So what I mean by that is they're the team that's furthest in the back, which gives them a little bit of an advantage. So we're going to see that probably that first half of the game.
Why? What's the advantage?
They're closer to the jammer and they can hold further back, while the other jammer, their team's jammer, pushes further to the front. So it's a bit of a strategic advantage in this particular sport, just because of the spacing on the track.
Nice block there by the Rollers to go ahead and take Fern Spike out of the play. Fern Spike's going to call off the jam. I would imagine, too, if there's a short bench for Cherry City, that they might go with shorter jams as well. It'd be energy saving and whatnot.
Yeah, it does seem to be their strategy, though. That certainly is what we saw in the game, the away game earlier this year. It does look like Redwood Rollers picked up 1 point there. So
24-2. So now if you get out to a lead real quick, do you just keep the pedal to the floor, or do you go ahead and try to take some air out of it and take time off the clock?
So depending on the circumstances, if you think you can earn plenty of points or draw it out a little bit, there's times where people might want to draw out a jam, like if they have players in the box. If you have players in the penalty box, you might want to wait and try to get them out during that jam. So that's one reason you might not call it.
Rosie McCobb and Sprocket Rocket are both loose. Rosie McCobb scoring. Actually, each team at the moment getting 4 points. We'll see if that adjusts. And Rosie McCobb calls off the jam.
Yeah, we're definitely seeing a size difference between the two teams as far as the blockers. So certainly some sturdy blockers who are on the track right now.
I thought Bakersfield was big, but Cherry City outsizes the Humboldt team, the Redwood Rollers, quite a bit. Here's Cloverkill, who's always been in a lot of energy for a jammer. Good play there by Eco Terrorist, threw a block and sprung Cloverkill. They're flying all over the rink right now as Cloverkill comes up against this large line for Cherry City. Cloverkill's going to call off the jam before Poison Grace can get to the Redwood Roller defenders and get some points. So
Cloverkill picked up a couple points there. That was a strategic call off.
Right.
Got run back, hit out and run back, but still did manage to pass 2 people before getting run back.
right, just a couple points, but at least 2-0 as far as points gained.
So I think, we're seeing some adjustments to style of play as a result of those first few jams, recognizing what the strengths of these jammers are and adjusting accordingly.
So what are the adjustments?
Well, I'm noticing some stronger defense on the inner and outer lines, and, just a lot more awareness that the jammers are going to dip down low to get through quickly right off the line.
So Danger, Slam, Chowder, and Born Wicked doing a fantastic job as a triangle, holding Fern Spike behind the line. This is great defense. And then Shaka Punch breaks through while Cherry City is still clogged up. And Bjorn Wicked sends Fern Spike flying. And here comes Shaka Punch slamming into the Cherry City defenders. And suddenly, the Redwood Rollers have some momentum.
Oh, but they did a star pass. So we are seeing that jammer change on Cherry City in an effort to get them points or urge the jam to be called off. So Chakra is going to be calling it likely in a few moments.
Well, Chakra's still scoring, still pushing. A fantastic jam for Chakra Punch. It's finally going to be called as the defenses take over in the far corner, turn number 4. And that's how quick things can change. An 8-0 jam makes the score now 28-16.
So we're definitely seeing those adjustments that I was talking about. And now we're seeing our team, or I should say, the Redwood Rollers. I am a roller, so
it is your team.
Taking the
it's
back
not my
line.
team. I'm the announcer. It's your team.
Now they're taking that back line. So as I was talking about before, if they take that back line, they can kind of roll back and they can control the forward momentum of that jammer. So we'll see how that works for them. But not if the jammer gets through.
Breaking through in a great move, Rosie McCobb. And I say great move. These moves that these players make along the outer lines to stay in bounds, pretty athletic plays. Very, very impressive. So Rosie McCobb passing and scoring.
And we've got Carl Sparks in the penalty box now, the jammer for the Redwood Rollers. So it is a
power jam
for Rosie McCobb. So we're likely to see quite a lot of points scored here.
That's right. Great leap on the inside by Rosie McCobb. Able to get by Wrench. And Rosie McCobb getting a whip around by her teammate, calling off the jam. And we'll see what the final total is on the jam. 11-0. An inopportune time for a run like that to take place. 39-16 in favor of Cherry City.
We're seeing the Redwood Rollers now setting up right on the pivot line. So that's an advantage of the person with the stripe on their helmet. The pivot can choose to be closer to the pivot line. Whoever gets there first essentially claims that.
I don't know about this because then a head start and Fern, that's Poison Grace pushing through. And with the size advantage, that kind of bulldozer jamming that takes place, Poison Grace pushing. The Redwood Rollers hanging tough. Meanwhile, Carl Sparks hasn't been able to break loose. We see all the defenders engaged through turn number 2 as finally Poise and Grace looks ready to break loose, but then knocked out and driven back. This is one tough jam. Neither of these jammers have been able to get loose. Might we see them try to pass the panty to the pivot? Maybe, maybe not. Down goes Poise and Grace. Clock running, 18:23 to go in the half. And this is one tough jam. We haven't seen anyone break loose yet. And this finally Carl Sparks does, and pushed to the ground. Pushed to the ground by CJ Crusher. And CJ Crusher is going to the penalty box.
So Carl Sparks spent 30 seconds in the penalty box and still got lead jammer, which is pretty incredible.
Remember, Cherry City starting on a power jam. Just great defense by the Redwood Rollers. Now Carl Sparks is going to call off the jam. We'll see what the final totals were. Like 4-0. We should give you the
4 hard-earned points right there.
4 hard-earned points. Names of the officials. Quake and Bake is doing the outside pack. Hellwood Blues, he's a jammer official with the tape on his fingers so you can count the points. Blondie, the outside pat rack. Missy Elliott, the outside pack rat. Harry Pitfall is the head referee, and the Wicked Lizard is also a jammer referee. Pushing through here.
We see mad plow disease. All right.
Nice job by Humboldt, by the Redwood Rollers to break loose.
And we're seeing a star pass in progress potentially from Fern Spike. It does have the helmet cover off for Cherry City.
Fern Spike trying to pass to the pivot, but not able to do it at the moment. Mad plow disease is going to be sent back, having been knocked out of bounds, and trying to make a play. And then with a player with a back turn, Mad Plow cut inside, pushing, breaking loose.
There was some incredible footwork on that inside line.
It was incredible footwork. I don't know how people stay in this with people pushing on them like they do. Oh, talk about incredible footwork, hopping on the inside. But no, they say that Mad Plow was not able to get the inside and going to be sent back.
That was a very thoughtful way to kind of roll back so to avoid getting a track cut from Mad Plow disease. And we did see a penalty from Wicked, Bjorn Wicked. So they're going to the box right now.
But also going to the box is the jammer.
It looks
no, take back. They're not going to the box. They're coming back around the track. Got the panty back on the helmet. You need that to score, and then knocked out is Fern Spike. And Redwood immediately, the Redwood Rollers skate back and make sure that that player comes onto the rink farther back. Looks like 8 points for the Redwood Rollers, who refuse to give up here. 43-28 after a strong start. 24-2 was the score. Redwood Rollers have gone ahead and made up some ground, just 11 points down now. Some points have been reduced for Cherry City. 39-28.
This game, I wouldn't say roller derby is often a very high scoring game, so I think we'll see this one probably. You want to make a bet how high the score is going to get?
Oh, we were going to bet. What are we going to bet?
I'm going to guess that one team is going to get over 250 points. I don't know which team, but
no, nobody's going to get 250.
All right.
Nobody's going to get 250.
A beverage is on the line.
All right, here, Shake. This is good radio.
Yep.
Nobody's going to get 250 points. The combined might be over 20. There's 15-27, and we're halfway through. It's only 39-28.
I recently saw a roller derby score that was one team got over 400 and the other got like 24 points. It was one of the most painful mismatches I've ever seen.
Oh, who was that?
I wish I could remember, but it was a team matchup that will go down in history.
There you go. Let me get some of these public service announcements in. But before, I want to ask a quick question.
Sure.
Do you follow other roller derby teams?
Oh, absolutely. I'm going to the World Champs in Portland the first weekend in November.
Really?
Yep, traveling to Portland just to watch the best teams in the world.
Wow. Rennie Public Law Group, maybe they'll go, providing legal services to public agencies throughout California, practicing public law in the public interest. So here we go to the next jam. Oh, and already Sprocket Rocket knocked down immediately, and then breaking loose is Rosie Macabre. Great job by Danger to try to keep Macabre from advancing, but it did not work out. Now here comes Macabre on the inside, and Macabre going to be knocked out by Danger. You know, Danger is a player that plays bigger than they are.
Absolutely.
Oh, tough. Rosie Macabre on a run, now knocked out. And the rollers are going to move back so that Macabre has to move back. Sprocket Rocket is coming around with a chance to score some point, but the jam gets called off. That was good thinking by Rosie Macabre, but a bad break for the Redwood Rollers.
It looks like Sprocket got 4 on that pass, whereas Cherry City got 6. So we're certainly seeing some scoring from the Redwood Rollers. That is a difference between this game and the game that was on Cherry City's home turf. That was a much tougher start for the Rollers. So it looks like they've adapted a little bit from lessons learned from that game. And we've got one in the box starting this jam, and
that's
Cloverkill jamming for the Redwood Rollers. Let's see, who is it for Cherry City?
Cherry City looks like Poise and Grace, but it's Cloverkill making an amazing advance and breaking loose on the outside of turn 2. And then good job by Cherry City to pick up the defense in the far straightaway. Now Danger back on the rink for the Redwood Rollers and getting set to play defense. Oh, Danger knocked out by Crusher. Number 411 for Cherry City. What a ruffian.
Looks like we've got a new jammer for Cherry City that we haven't seen before, Titan Young, who's got lead right now. Definitely someone to look out for.
And called off the jam as they were in a kind of a holding pattern there in turn number 3, and Cloverkill was advancing and could have scored more points. So Cherry City, which has been very good tonight at calling off the jam to their advantage. And so 47-32, the score with 12:54 to go in the first half.
This has been a hard-fought first half, definitely.
That's why I don't think they're going over 250. Oh,
that was quite a hit from Rotten to Liqueur. Rotten to
Liqueur sends
Poison Grace
outside the rink. That might have been the hit of the night. And a good time to have the hit of the night after Crusher had knocked Cloverkill out. And look at this is a physical game with Cherry City. Are there some teams that you play and you just know it's going to be that night?
Absolutely. Yeah. These are a hard hitting bunch of jammers. I think we knew that going into it, but it's definitely, I'm seeing some adjustment in the footwork to accommodate, these really hard hits.
So Poison Grace
Okay, we're seeing a track cut.
Going to be sent back to the start of the jam. 51-32. The panty has been passed, and putting that panty on her helmet is Chakra Punch. And hopefully for the Redwood Rollers, there's some points to be had here. A formidable wall by Cherry City, and Chakra Punch goes right into the middle of it as they push into turn number 2. Chakra Punch trying to find a lane.
And it's a power jam, so they will likely be doing a sweep right now, to try to get their jammer out. and not particularly successful.
Well, coordinated effort by the Redwood Rollers to try to free Chakra Punch did not work. Poison Grace coming up on the outside. Punch has been knocked down. Poison Grace is going to come out as the lead jammer. And that was a very successful transit.
And now Chakra Punch is in the box. So looks like this next jam will start as a power jam for Cherry City. Chakra Punch had kind of a tough jam there. Took the helmet cover off to try to pass it and put it back on. So that was a tough jam for them.
Tough jam, couldn't get the points out of. I was going to say a transition as Cherry City was able to transition from defense to offense very nicely. They're outscoring Redwood Rollers 8-4 on the jam.
Now we're seeing an official review called by the black team. So looks like Redwood Rollers have called for an official review. I'm not sure what that is, but it did seem like there was a track cut in question earlier. So perhaps that's what's going on. They may want the other team's jammer to start in the box.
So while that's being decided, I want to say Juan Pablo Cervantes, reminding you that Election Day is Tuesday, November 5th, 2024. You can find information about your polling place, ballot drop-off centers, and ways to track your ballot at Humboldt_elections at co.humboldt.ca.us. So, Election Day, November 5th, and KZZH is broadcasting. The Humboldt Roller Derby is also supported by Cafe Brio in the Arcata Plaza. Open every day from 8 to 3 with brunch all weekend. Dine in or sit out there on the patio, and you can also take out 55-36, 10:36 to go in the first half. What are you seeing so far as adjustments or suggest? Do you have suggestions you would have?
I'm seeing that the Redwood Rollers are really making an effort to send blockers, any blocker available, to delay and hit pretty hard each of those jammers. They're doing some kind of separating off from the pack to go and do some flying hits, is what I like to call them. Some really hard, quick hits. And I think that's what's going to be necessary in this game to, knock these very sturdy, strong, hard-hitting jammers off their course. Now, as far as Cherry City, I've seen their jammers, really try to adjust a little bit to draw the blockers to one side and then take the other side. So we'll see if that's successful for them.
Now, you play a team like Cherry City. You play a team like the Bakersfield Diamond Divas. You wake up in the morning. Is it like, ugh?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Really?
It hurts.
It hurts?
Yeah, you feel like you got hit by a truck.
Wow. Because you are.
Yep. It's you're getting hit over and over and over again. And, it's definitely, even if the hits are legal, they're still hard.
I don't think people have. Oh, speaking of hard hits, Rosie McCobb lining into eco-terrorist. And now McCobb is going to break loose as into turn number 2 and ready to score. But my goodness, that was a collision. And it's amazing that they gave McCobb points. I thought it looked like she might have went out. Now Chakra Punch and Rosie McCobb as the jammers have some contact, and that's CJ Crusher knocking Chakra Punch out. Rosie McCobb on a good run here, 8-0 so far on this jam, tries to cut inside again. And that is a very, very thin line that she makes it through on the inside.
That was quite an incredible jump, actually. I was shocked that wasn't a cut, but it's hard to see from our angle, just where they land kind of on the line, and looked like that was in.
It's interesting. Do you see situations where Chakra Punch just engaged with Rosie McCobb there, where the jammers wind up engaging with each other?
Oh, definitely. We often see a lot of jammer on jammer action with these, A-level games, and I wouldn't be surprised if we see more of that tonight.
66-36. So very successful, an 11-0 run for Rosie McCobb. Just what the Redwood Rollers can't afford is to have people out on big runs. here's a mismatch in size as far as this lineup is concerned, but the Redwood Rollers hanging tough for the moment as Titan Young and Mad Plow Disease are the jammers to start.
It looks like we have Carl Sparks.
It's Carl Sparks. There you go. Carl Sparks listed up on the board as Mad Plow. It's Carl Sparks, and they are the lead jammer, and they are in a position to score. Giving some signals to the blockers so that they could help open up some lanes. And Carl Sparks will score points and then turn and call the jam off before Titan Young can get to them.
Looks like that was a 2-point jam for Carl Sparks. I would say definitely with jammer size is not everything. We have, definitely a lot of agility to consider as well. But with blockers, I do think, size matters when it comes to the
I think bigger is
blockers.
better,
We definitely have had our fair share of, interesting jamming styles over the years when it comes to,
That's Poise and Grace out on the lead, getting right through the pack.
and they got a cut. So they are going to the box. So now it's a power jam for
Power jam for
Redwood
the Redwood Rollers. And it's going to be Mad Plow pushing down in here, turn number one, but just pushing through some of the larger players on the Cherry City, and pushed out again by CJ Crusher. And CJ Crusher engaging with some of the other Redwood Rollers. CJ Crusher likes to hit. There's no doubt about it.
That's for sure. I think a lot of these players like to hit.
And Matt Plow does finally break
Really
through. Penalty is over for Poison Grace, back on the track. And Mad Plow coming through turn number one. The action is going to pick up on the far corner, turn number three. And it's CJ Crusher. Boy, CJ Crusher, what a bully. And the inside. Don't you think? My God.
Well, they're certainly enjoying playing the game the way that it can be played, which is to really kind of play with your prey.
Well, I mean,
it's legal. They have a lot of strong
legal, and they're great players, and they hustle, and they look like an offensive line.
They sure do.
They sure do. And they're playing like it. They're playing to their strengths, and this is a very formidable test for the Redwood Rollers here tonight, trying to avenge a loss up in Salem, trying to protect their home hall here at Franceschi Hall. It's Sprocket Rocket, a very impressive jammer, I think, but up against some incredible size. Look at breaking through. Outstanding.
Sprocket Rocket is an incredible jammer. And Sprocket Rocket was not up in Salem during that game, so this team isn't quite prepared for her.
A lot of speed for Sprocket Rocket, a lot of moves. And right there, a spin move to get out and pick up some more points. Sprocket Rocket taking, oh my goodness gracious, what a hit. And calls off the jam. It looked like a bowling ball hitting the pins as they were set up. My goodness, there are players everywhere. And from her back, Sprocket Rocket taps her hips 4 times and calls off the jam.
That was quite a call off, kind of buried under the other skaters. It seemed a little dangerous to even move your arms in those conditions.
Wow.
Now, Sprocket Rocket is a bicyclist and goes for really long rides. So her endurance is pretty incredible. That's one thing that it's interesting to find out what people do when they're not playing derby that, leads to their particular skills.
Well, what are some of tell us.
Well, we've got Chakra Punch is a yoga teacher and, really skilled yogi. Sugar Rush, one of the players who's out right now, number 365, does Aikido, where you use people's energy, sort of against them in a martial arts setting. So definitely a wide variety of skills out there to complement roller derby.
I, it's amazing. Well, here's a skill that's the most basic skill to the whole sport. I mean, how many of you that got back into this that decided to go in, made a choice to go to the training camp? How many of you, had been regular skaters?
Well, I skated for many years. I think it varies. We have a lot of people who are drawn to this sport because they love roller skating. But then quite a few people, we have Jess Troyer, one of the blockers on our team who played rugby and loved hitting people.
Wow.
So I think folks find their way to the sport through different means, but a lot of it is that people love skating.
There you go. Although I think there's a few people out here that like hitting people more than anything.
And we've got
Cloverkill breaks through. Meanwhile, Humboldt doing a great job keeping tight and young from advancing. Cloverkill right here doing a good job with the footwork to stay in bounds. But, man, there's a formidable four. You talk about the triangle. This is kind of a quadrangle, and they're keeping Cloverkill from breaking loose. But she does. She rolls off to the outside.
That's awesome. And we were looking for a pass here from Titan Young. They've got the helmet cover off, but their pivot is back behind them. So it looks like they decided not to pass it.
Cloverkill still pushing, and Cloverkill pushing with the largest of the rollers, Dixie Normus. And look at that. Humboldt goes on a 7-0 run. The Redwood Rollers go on a 7-0 run, and it's 66-53. And look who's back in the game.
Seems like the rollers have adapted to their style. And, it's possible that Cherry City looks a little tired. Now, that's the downside of not having brought as many skaters. They're rotating in, the same skaters over and over again. So it will be interesting to see if their endurance is up for it.
That's a very good point. The strength of Cherry City is the line play, the blockers. And we'll see if their endurance can be up. Chakra punch breaking loose. A little of those yogi moves.
All right.
A little flexibility to get out of that on the inside. And coming up to the pack now, and it's Dixie Normus taking chakra punch on. She's going to immediately call off the jam. We'll see what the points did, but
she got 1 point. She managed to pass one person's hips. So that's how you get the points, is passing someone's hips with your hips. So a lot of times, I think people who are watching roller derby for the first time aren't sure exactly how points are scored, and it's that hip passing that makes the difference. So it doesn't matter if sometimes people will be kind of doubled over and trying to keep their hips away from the other team, which is kind of funny.
There you go. 66-54, 2:26 to go in what has been a hard-hitting first half. The hardest hitting first half of the year, really.
I agree. And folks knew this going into it, that this would be one of the toughest games of the season.
I don't think when I saw the game, oh, what a play by Rosie McCobb. Hit by eco-terrorist and was able to regain her poise along the line and now being sent to the penalty box. A power jam for the Rollers right when they need to have a power jam situation. They need these points. 66-54, they've closed the gap.
Now we're seeing the Redwood Rollers hold back what we call a goat. So they're holding back intentionally a player from the other team to allow their jammer to get ahead. That's controlling where the pack is. It was not particularly successful, though.
No, this is great defense by Cherry City. You want to talk about a penalty killing unit. They've done a great job as Cloverkill has been pushed and bounced around completely. Now, Cherry City had a situation like this earlier where they actually wound up scoring points, but that won't be the case here because Cloverkill has broken through and scored points for the Redwood Rollers.
So Carl Sparks has lead and is about to get some points and call it, if I'm not mistaken. It looks like they're going to go ahead and call that jam right now.
Jam called off. My mistake. It was Carl Sparks. Up on the board is Cloverkill originally. Looking at the scoreboard here, they do a great job at Franceschi Hall. It was 3-0. That's how hard fought that jam was, but it's 66-57, and we have less than 40 seconds to go here in the first half, which has been a very, very good, maybe the best half of the year, really. I mean, this has been hitting, it's been intense defense, and there's been some great efforts by jammers.
So we're looking at a power jam for black right now, right off out the gate. The white jammers in the box. So Mad Plow Disease jamming for Redwood Rollers, getting hit out, but we're hoping to see some offensive action here. So we are seeing some offense from the Redwood Rollers,
But
not breaking up that pack too much, unfortunately.
not breaking up the pack. They've got their largest players out, CJ Crusher, Dino Normus, intense players. Mad Plow as he's pushing forward. Rosie McCabe knocked out for the Cherry City. Now the time on the clock has ended, but the jam has to be finished. So you get some extra time and a half. And look at that. Rosie McCabe is going to be the one that came out of the penalty box and is going to wind up scoring, because this defense has been incredible as far as holding Mad Plow Disease. Let's see what the Rollers could do. And I'll tell you what, trading blow for blow on the far straightaway and staying in Rosie McCabe. My goodness.
So we just saw a helmet cover pass to Eco Terrorist. Eco Terrorist actually came from Cherry City to Humboldt. Grew up playing roller derby as a junior skater up in Cherry City. So knows this team very well. New to Humboldt this year.
There we go. Rookie on the Humboldt side. And
we're seeing Rosie go to the box. So
Rosie's going to the box. So it's going to be a power jam for Humboldt.
And we'll be seeing this play out as a full 2-minute jam. There's no time left on the clock, but we'll likely see it continue.
Now, breaking loose, but without the pad on the
now we are seeing intermission, so that it ended at the 0 second mark.
And a bit of confusion, because Eco Terrorist, when she had the panty pass to them, they went ahead and changed the panty on the helmet. They had the star helmet as the jammer, but then threw the pivots panty down on the floor. So difficult to see if she was in a position to really score or not. But as it was,
the pivot cover is on there. It's just we'll see if there's an official review over that. Sometimes it just pops off, but all that matters is that the star is showing and that the pass is made legally. So if that did happen and it just popped off in the process, it's but I've seen that quite a bit before, and it's usually not a problem.
So as we end the first half here, we are now at the intermission, and what we have is a very competitive game. Remember, this game started out, it was 24-2. Redwood Rollers got up to the worst possible start, but now 73-60 as we go to the end of the first half. Your thoughts before we go to the break?
I wouldn't say either team has had it particularly rough this half. Maybe I see it a little differently because I know how it is coming into a game and sorting out your opponent. This is a very, very close game right now, so I think it's really anybody's game to win. A 13-point spread is a single jam's worth of points. So 73-60 is definitely still possible for either team to take it.
I think a few things here. One is it's the most physical half I've seen this year. Two, I think your comment about, their bench is shorter because they're on the road. They didn't bring as many people. They're not skating the full 15. Will that be an issue in the second half? And three, there's no way you're winning that beverage because nobody's getting 250 tonight. This is one tough game. All right.
I think we're seeing 12 from HRD as well, now that I think about it. So it looks like we're evenly matched as far as number of skaters.
There we go. So we'll send it back to the station. Nate will be with you when we come back, and we'll get ready for an exciting second half of what is a great contest here at Franceschi Hall. Cherry City 73, Redwood Rollers 60.
Hi, this is Talvi Freed. Join me and a panel of Humboldt County luminaries for Thursday Night Talk, which happens every Thursday night at 6 p.m. We'll talk about the week in Humboldt and take your phone calls. That's Thursday Night Talk right here on KZZH 96.7, community radio from Access Humboldt.
Hello Humboldt, this is your Registrar of Voters, Juan Pablo Cervantes. Did you know that during the November 5th general election, you'll have more days and more ways to cast your vote? All actively registered voters will get their ballots in the mail 1 month before Election Day. Return them by mail or bring them to one of our 11 secure drop boxes. You can also vote in person at any one of our vote centers, many of which will be open before Election Day. For more information, visit our website and make your plan to vote accessible, vote secure, vote Humboldt.
If you know an older left-handed person, chances are they had to learn to write or eat with their right hand. And in many parts of the world, it's still common practice to force children to use their proper hand. Even the word for right also means correct or good, not just in English, but many other languages too. But if being left-handed is so wrong, then why does it happen in the first place? Today, about 1/10 of the world's population are left-handed. Archaeological evidence shows that it's been that way for as long as 500,000 years, with about 10% of human remains showing the associated differences in arm length and bone density, and some ancient tools and artifacts showing evidence of left-hand use. And despite what many may think, handedness is not a choice. It can be predicted even before birth, based on the fetus's position in the womb. So if handedness is inborn, does that mean it's genetic? Well, yes and no. Identical twins who have the same genes can have different dominant hands. In fact, this happens as often as it does with any other sibling pair. But the chances of being right or left-handed are determined by the handedness of your parents in surprisingly consistent ratios. If your father was left-handed but your mother was right-handed, you have a 17% chance of being born left-handed, while two righties will have a left-handed child only 10% of the time. Handedness seems to be determined by a roll of the dice, but the odds are set by your genes. All of this implies there's a reason that evolution has produced this small proportion of lefties and maintained it over the course of millennia. And while there have been several theories attempting to explain why handedness exists in the first place, or why most people are right-handed, a recent mathematical model suggests that the actual ratio reflects a balance between competitive and cooperative pressures on human evolution. The benefits of being left-handed are clearest in activities involving an opponent, like combat or competitive sports. For example, about 50% of top hitters in baseball have been left-handed. Why? Think of it as a surprise advantage. Because lefties are a minority to begin with, both right-handed and left-handed competitors will spend most of their time encountering and practicing against righties. So when the two face each other, the left-hander will be better prepared against this right-handed opponent, while the righty will be thrown off. This fighting hypothesis, where an imbalance in the population results in an advantage for left-handed fighters or athletes, is an example of negative frequency-dependent selection. But according to the principles of evolution, groups that have a relative advantage tend to grow until that advantage disappears. If people were only fighting and competing throughout human evolution, natural selection would lead to more lefties being the ones that made it, until there were so many of them that it was no longer a rare asset. So in a purely competitive world, 50% of the population would be left-handed. But human evolution has been shaped by cooperation as well as competition, and cooperative pressure pushes handedness distribution in the opposite direction. In golf, where performance doesn't depend on the opponent, only 4% of top players are left-handed, an example of the wider phenomenon of tool sharing. Just as young potential golfers can more easily find a set of right-handed clubs, many of the important instruments that have shaped society were designed for the right-handed majority. Because lefties are worse at using these tools and suffer from higher accident rates, they would be less successful in a purely cooperative world, eventually disappearing from the population. So by correctly predicting the distribution of left-handed people in the general population, as well as matching data from various sports, the model indicates that the persistence of lefties as a small but stable minority reflects an equilibrium that comes from competitive and cooperative effects playing out simultaneously over time. And the most intriguing thing is what the numbers can tell us about various populations, from the skewed distribution of pawedness in cooperative animals to the slightly larger percentage of lefties in competitive hunter-gatherer societies. We may even find that the answers to some puzzles of early human evolution are already in our hands.
Humboldt's summer tradition is back. It's the Humboldt Botanical Gardens Summer Music Series. This year's lineup is the very best on the North Coast. Concerts will be taking place on the first and third Sunday of the month from 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. We'll be kicking it off Sunday, June 2nd and going until Sunday, October 20th. Catered by Stephanie's Home Cooking with local beer and wine, and you are also welcome to bring your own picnic lunch. If you would like to check out this year's schedule, you can go to our website at www.hbgf.org, and we'll see you at the garden.
Welcome back to Franceschi Hall and what has been an incredibly competitive, hard-hitting game. 73-60 Cherry City. Remember, Cherry City roughed up the Redwood Rollers earlier in the year in March, and this game has been far more competitive. And, you know, I've seen them all. This has been the best half of the year of roller derby here at Franceschi Hall, Redwood Acres. This is a very competitive Cherry City team, a large team, so size-wise, bigger, stronger. But Humboldt has been tough. The Redwood Humboldt Roller Derby has been very tough in this game. It has gone ahead. They started off the worst possible way. They were down 24-2, and yet have fought back and made it a game just to jam away, really, 73-60 at the break. What they can't do, obviously, is have Cherry City go on a run right to start the second half. Looking out for the Redwood Rollers as they put their players on the jam line. It looks like Sprocket Rocket will be the jammer for Humboldt. I've yet to see the Cherry City jammer come out. Want to go through some of the underwriters. This broadcast is underwritten by the Speakeasy Bar, a New Orleans-inspired custom bar, seasonal craft cocktails, local fresh ingredients, live jazz and blues music, and more. Located at 411 Opera Alley in Eureka, and the Rennie Public Law Group, providing legal services to public agencies throughout California, practicing public law and public interest. So we're ready to go in the second half. Very excited to see what this is going to be. It is Sprocket Rocket.
Yes,
Breaking loose. What a move. And starting the second half on a power jam, because the reason we didn't see the Cherry City jammer, that is Rosie McCobb, out of the penalty box now, is starting the penalty box. Sprocket Rocket into the fray, and Rosie Macabre also, this is really stacked up. All 10 skaters right there in turn 2. And Macabre takes a outside look and just bowls over Eco Terrace, the former Cherry City Roller Derby. And
we're seeing 3 points for Sprocket on that one. Nothing for Cherry City. Called just in time. Well, I brought you another beverage because I figured we probably weren't going to get over 250 points. I agree with you.
Early, my goodness. Look at you.
I don't like it hanging over my head.
Really? Wow.
All right, so we're seeing a 10-point difference here. 63 Redwood Rollers, 73 Cherry City.
I've seen all kinds of things I've never seen. People paying up and right there, Poison Grace knocked out by Humboldt, and Danger trying to hold on here in lower turn number 1, the last line of defense, but then has to let Poison Grace go. Meanwhile, for Humboldt, it's Cloverkill getting hammered by CJ Crusher, and now moving to the outside. Can she get outside? She does. They get outside. They're outside. Meanwhile, Poison Grace knocked down as Humboldt fighting hard to keep Poison Grace from scoring. Here comes Clover, and the jam will be called because Cherry City alertly not letting Clover get in there and scoring any points.
Cherry City got just 1 point on that jam. That's pretty incredible. The defense is being held down on both sides pretty strongly here.
That's why the 250 was a little radical for you.
I was anticipating a little bit more of a highest point scoring game, but we're just seeing them eke along here.
Well, what's most impressive is, okay, if they're going to play the smash face type of bulldozing jammer roller derby hard hitting, the Redwood Rollers have matched the energy, and they are playing the same way, even though they're outsized in this bout. So outstanding effort from the Rollers. Just incredible. The game up in March was nowhere near this competitive, right?
Agreed. No, it was much more in favor of Cherry City. They were playing with a pretty different team then, so it's a little interesting to see who they fielded today.
Still road games tough in any league.
Yeah, we're still seeing the let's see, Titan Young is still being held by the blockers, but has a little bit of an advantage. They're in the front, and Shocker Punch pushing and pushing, not getting anywhere.
Talking to the referee at halftime, and he said the effort of these jammers pushing against these incredible blockers that both teams have had. Humboldt using technique to their advantage, and the size and power of Cherry City. Two very different ways to play defense, but this has been an excellent game for that. The referee was telling me those jammers, they're pushing, and then they're just gassed when they finally break through.
I can see Chakra Punch looking incredibly tired. There's just been such hard pushing, but so is Titan Young. Neither of them have gotten out to get the advantage here, and quick burst of energy from Chakra Punch, so we'll see what happens.
Neither has passed turn 2. This jam is going to go the whole time.
We're seeing a forearm call on Chakra Punch.
That means power jam for Cherry City. Yes. Humboldt's got to play that defense. And knocked down is that jammer for Cherry City, Titan Young. And that Humboldt defense gets right on it. Daddy long legs there along with Sugar Rush. And finally the jam is called.
That was a full 2-minute jam where nobody got any points. So
wow, a 0-0 full term jam?
Absolutely. 2 full minutes of pushing.
That doesn't happen very often.
It does not. No, that was an unusual one. We are starting with a jammer in the box. So this is going to be a power jam for Cherry City right out the gate.
So it's got to be the Humboldt defense, and Danger is holding up Rosie Macabre. It's Danger and Rotten Chula Core. And let's see the effort that can happen. Humboldt still with the jammer in the box, and now Macabre is broken loose. Big defensive stand for Humboldt. Chakra punches back, pushing and right into CJ Crusher, and the smaller, faster, technique-driven Redwood Rollers doing their best to hold back, and then the absolute bruisers that Cherry City is. Chakra punch pushing along. Here comes Macabdo with a chance to score the famous inside move. And the only time Dixie Normus has gone to the mat tonight is because her own player, Rosie McCobb, came flying into her.
Now we have Chakra Punch in the box again. So Rosie McCobb is continuing on a power jam. We will see whether they choose to call it.
And they call it.
Did.
And that is great defense. It's only a 4-0 run, but my goodness, stepping up and playing great defense with the Redwood Rollers that time. 81-63. It wound up being a 7-0 jam for Cherry City. My goodness, what hitting tonight. This is just one hard match.
So it looks like it's a power jam for Poison Grace of Cherry City. And we're seeing that strategy I mentioned before of taking the back line. Ooh.
Wow, breaking to the outside was Poison Grace, and then with an angle on Eco Terrace, and Eco Terrace flying. And Poison Grace again. I'll tell you, Poison Grace got some good moves, able to break through. Little of this, little of that, but able to find the holes.
Definitely a lot of outside line, cruising up that outside line. And we've seen a pass to
The panty has been
Terrace.
passed to Eco Terrace. And then the jam is called off before Eco Terrace got a chance to head up. So it's an 8-0 run, and suddenly with 22 plus minutes to go here in the second half, a little breathing room for Cherry City. 89-63 the score now, as that was an 8-0 jam. So 15-0 run for Cherry City.
And we've got Carl Sparks jamming for the Redwood Rollers, and a different jammer for Cherry City. I'm not sure I recognize this person.
So Carl Sparks for Cherry City. It is
Shutter Speed.
Shutter Speed. You know, the sports with the greatest names are roller derby and horse racing, I think,
Agree.
with the names.
This Horsey's really got great names too.
That's right.
They're a little weirder though,
Yeah.
if you ask me. We've got Carl Sparks out of the pack now. Shutter Speed has lead jammer though, so we're expecting that'll probably get called off. Yep.
Now, remember, the lead jammer is the only one that can call it off, although both jammers can be scoring points in any one single jam. It's the lead jammer that can call it off. And so the strategy comes from that lead. 21 minutes to go, 91-63. So a tough start here in the second half for a Redwood roller team that really has played courageous roller derby tonight. Is that what do you play courageous roller derby?
I would say so. This is a heroic match.
It is a heroic match.
Yeah.
But that was not a heroic stop, as Rosie McCobb able to slide through. But so did Matt Plowdisease. So here we go. And flying to the inside, down on the track.
That was a hard hit.
That was an enormous Daddy Longlegs with a hip check sent Rosie McCobb flying. She hit the ground and then valiantly called off the jam, having scored 4 points. Still a Cherry City run that has to be broken. I think a good choice here for the Redwood Rollers. Sprocket Rocket is going to be the jammer. And that's Poison Grace for
Poison Grace really likes taking that outside line.
And you know what? It's like a deke in and then out, and it's worked every time.
Pretty cool footwork by
Humboldt's got to
Sprott.
start. Humboldt Roller Derby's got to stop that. They've got to recognize that. So the rollers are going to have the jam called off by Cherry City.
And a couple points for the rollers with 4 for Cherry City there.
Just not enough. Rollers need to have a run somewhere, and they just have not had it so far. A 4-2 deficit in a jam isn't going to do it. 99-65. We have 19 minutes to go here in half number 2. Plenty of time for the rollers to get going, but they've got to make a run. And then breaking loose here is Rosie McCobb, who's been really the star of the team as far as scoring wise for Cherry City, and able to fake inside and break to the outside and on a scoring run. This is a time for the rollers to dig in defensively. Oh my goodness. What a move.
So Rosie just took an incredible flying leap on that inside. Just her footing is so sure. It's incredible.
And her leaping ability, that was outstanding. Rosie McCobb working both lines. She's really been the highest scoring jammer of the night.
And we have a pass to Sugar Rush on the Redwood Rollers side, who just took that star. Is quite a fast skater, as you see, making that lap really quickly. Getting a couple points at least here.
But the jam is going to be called off, and it's going to be a huge deficit for Cherry City on the individual jam, 12-2. So they pick up 10 net on the rollers, 111. Take that back. It was 14-2, and it is 114-67. You're listening to 96.7 Eureka Community Radio, KZZH, from Access Humboldt. So 96.7 KZZH, proud to bring you the roller derby. 114-67, a game that got very close by the half, and we wondered what the stamina would be for Cherry City in the second half, but also something you got to think about, just the physicality of it. I mean, did the Redwood Rollers, the Humboldt Roller Derby, are they wearing down a bit?
I think both teams are getting pretty tired right now. And actually, if you look at the rosters, we've only got 12 on each team. Redwood Rollers had a couple other players who got injured in that first game. We don't have Wrench on the track. And so both teams are skating short, and they're, I think it's starting to show. They're a little tired. They're also out there laughing, joshing around during this official review, having a good time. Now, we don't know what the official review is, but it was the white team requesting an official review over something that they saw. So we'll see what comes out of this. It's possible that we'll start a jammer down.
Are most teams cordial to each other?
Oh, yeah. Roller derby is a really friendly sport, despite the heavy hits. We definitely, it's rare to, I would say Bakersfield are a little tough, rough around the edges, personality wise, but they're still,
Bakersfield's a little rough around the edge.
I agree.
The streets of Bakersfield, man.
Most teams are really friendly. I would say even Bakersfield, they just, they have a little bit of a harder edge, and they're all business, but these teams are sportsmanlike. That's a huge part of this sport. And, it's nobody's in it for the sponsorships or the money. It's all, for the love of the game. And, you definitely see a lot of camaraderie on the track.
You've got to really love this game.
Oh, absolutely.
Because you're getting hammered.
Yeah. I mean, same with rugby. Sometimes we see that with soccer. In the really competitive leagues, but certainly women's rugby is another another sport where you see that kind of, heavy hitting, a lot of physicality, and it's, it's a very beloved sportsmanlike game. So I think that's what we see with roller derby as well.
Now, you must have people to go through the training camp, and then, as Furious George was explaining to me in the interview, after you get through step 1 of the training camp, when you get to contact in step 2, people that say, "No, this isn't for me."
Yeah, there's plenty of people that just do level 1 training camp. Some folks that get through level 2 and go, I don't want to take it up any further than this and be on the team, because the leap from that, full contact training to being on the team is still significant. I remember being shocked when I finished L1 and L2, and then I went to join the team, and the leap was huge. As far as,
So when you say the leap was, like, how much you were getting hit, how fast the game was.
Our training camp program skates for 1 hour, 3 nights a week, and our team plays for 2.5 hours, 3 nights a week. So it's just the sheer amount of practice and of hitting and of physical activity just more than doubles. It's quite a shock to the system, but it really gets under your skin. And I've been playing this game for more than 10 years, and I don't have any plans to stop anytime soon.
Well, let's ask a couple more questions. Were you an athlete in high school?
I was. Yeah, I played soccer in high school. A lot of folks on the team have been athletes, much of their lives. And then we also have folks who've never played a sport before.
Oh,
so
really?
It's quite a mix. Also, as far as age, it's quite a mix. I would say our team skews a little on the older side. More of our team are over 40 than are under 40.
Wow.
And I think that's true for a lot of roller derby teams. You see folks well into their 30s and into their 40s and even in their 50s playing roller derby.
Really? Oh my God, that's an incredible statistic. So the review is over. 114.67. Chakra Punch is the jammer for the Redwood Rollers. Cherry City, we've yet to identify the player, but they are locked up on the far side. Doing the job is Stranger Danger, and
We've
it's
got shutter speed again.
Shutter Speed back out there, but having a hard time. Good defense
by Bjorn Wicked and Danger. Yeah, incredible work.
And Danger doing great work. Danger's really been impressive to me.
Danger's an incredible skater.
Yeah, great player, playing well above their size. So Shutter Speed, who after that intense pushing, not much speed at the moment, and almost knocked out Danger. Trying to keep them in. Chakra Punch, though, is just absolutely gassed. And passing the panty
quite a
to
pass,
Danger. Great play there. Meanwhile, Shutter Speed being held up here and calling off the jam. Oh, I see what's happening.
That was a tough one.
They call off the jam before the Redwood Rollers Humboldt Roller Derby ever has the chance to get there.
That's how you control the points in this game. You get lead and call it. Usually it's ticking up points, 2, 4, 6, if you can, in a jam.
119.67. It has been all Cherry City. And then once again, that same move that Poison Grace has used all night to move to the outside, and Redwood Rollers have just never picked that up. And Poison Grace has been able to be the lead jam because of it. Daddy Longlegs and Destroyer holding up Poison Grace, but now able to break it to the outside, just as we said, and get loose. So looks like a panty pass trying to happen here, and it's going to be a fake panty pass. How about that?
Carl Sparks got right through there. So that's one thing we see from Sparks. They're little and lithe and very fast. So the second there's a hole, they can just scooch right through.
And that's legal, the fake panty pass. You can take it off and
yeah, absolutely. We see it all the time. So a lot of times, once the other team gets lead, you'll see people take off their helmet cover and wait to see if they can pass it. If they can't, they just put it back on their head and proceed along their way. They just have to be wearing it on their helmet to be able to score points.
Well, strategy abounds. Here we go. Rosie McCobb is the jammer for Cherry City. Rosie McCobb has had a great night, scoring the most points of anybody in this match.
But it's a power jam.
Power
Rosie
jam
McCobb just
now.
went to the box. And we are seeing mad plow disease make an effort to make it through. And a little hope from danger there. Little loose footing.
So Mad Plow pushing ahead. Little over 14 minutes to go in the period. Second half of a game, 123-67, a game that feels much closer than that, but Cherry City has really dominated this last 10 minutes of play and gone ahead and then inched their way ahead of the Redwood Rollers. Out of the penalty box now is Rosie McCobb. Mad Plow Disease behind one of the most formidable triangles you'll ever see in your life. And Rosie McCobb is going to be sent to the box again. So the Redwood Rollers are on a power jam, but who knew? Finally, Mad Plow breaks loose, had the panty off to pass it and faked it. And now Mad Plow trying to score some points. Set defense, and of course, it's CJ Crusher. And CJ Crusher finally going to the penalty box. Good God, is there any justice in this league? CJ Crusher, you have 3 players in the penalty box for Cherry City, and you have one, the pivot, in for Redwood Rollers, but the Rollers haven't been able to break loose. Jammer Rosie McCobb. I mean, if Cherry City scores here with all these people in the penalty box, that would be unbelievable.
So that was a full 2-minute jam, and Cherry City starting with their jammer in the box again. So this jammer managed to get 3 penalties in 1 jam, which is pretty incredible. Rosie McCobb.
Well, they're an overachiever.
Yeah.
Well, but the story of that jam, you had a full 2-minute jam. You had 3 times in the penalty box for the jammer, and yet Humboldt only was able to get 4-0 despite being on the power jam the whole time.
Yeah, pretty incredible. Their blockers are pretty strong.
Sprocket Rocket taken down. In on that takedown was Flossie.
All right, so Sprocket Rocket has lead. We are seeing the skaters doing skating ahead quickly. We call this a fast pack, where they're trying to drive the points away from the jammer. But
and a great move to the inside. It was a great screen there by Destroyer and taking advantage of Sprocket Rocket. But look at Rosie McCobb is going to take the lead and now become the lead jammer in front of Sprocket Rocket, but she's hip checked out by Destroyer. And Rosie McCobb surviving a hip check, but the jam is called off. The Redwood Rollers are going to win that jam 6-4. And
a little bit of an issue with the call off there for the Redwood Rollers. Sprocket could have prevented that, but was not getting the signal from her team's box to call it off. So
do you have the artistic license to go ahead and make the call yourself?
You do. You see jammers do that occasionally, but because we're trying to, we're seeing a team here where the points are so tightly controlled. Typically, you're really relying on your box to send the right signal. The person who's standing at turn 3 over there, turn 2, I should say, is there to mirror the call offs from the box. So we're seeing those folks help the jammers know when to call it off. That person just was not giving a signal.
There you go. Tell you a little about Cherry City. They've been around since 2009. And how many years have you been playing Cherry City?
I want to say since at least 2010. Humboldt Roller Derby has been around a little bit longer, since 2005, 2006. So probably since at least 2010.
So, Cherry City, around since 2009 from Salem, Oregon. And they're the also feature balanced set of training programs and growth to grow roller derby in the Salem area. And as you said, Oregon is a hotbed of roller derby, huh?
It sure is.
So we're starting this jam. Looks like Poison Grace, and they cut Poison Grace off to the outside. Great job there by Rotten Chulicor. And now, but still making it outside. Danger gives one last blast to try to deter Poison Grace. Poison Grace has done a great job going inside, and then busting outside. Little shimmy shake there as runs into the triangle here in turn number 1. And that is Rotten Chulicor making first contact. Slam Chowder as well in there.
Poison Grace is great at zigzagging across the track. So you'll see them try one line. If they're unsuccessful, try the other. And, quite skilled at that.
Very sneaky as far as the points that they've earned tonight.
Now that helmet cover pass to Rotten Chulicor occurred, but it was just too late to earn any points. Called off the jam now.
They're just not going to, if they have the lead jam, they're going to call it up every time that a Redwood roller approaches the back of the pack.
But that is part of the strategy, is to get them to call off the jam so they won't keep scoring. So just simply passing it and urging them to call off the jam helps to limit the damage.
9:32 to go.
That is a strategy, not the best one, but it's a last ditch strategy, I would say.
And Chakra Punch breaking loose.
All right.
Great job. Great job of footwork along the inside line for Chakra Punch. Looking a little more rested. They've been gassed the last couple of times out because they've been pushing so hard. And now Dixie Normus, who lives up to that name, pushing Chakra Punch. This is a very formidable defensive team. They have had a great second half defensively, the Cherry City Roller Derby.
And we're seeing Shutter Speed made it through the pack. And Chakra went ahead and called it off to prevent the other team from scoring. So I don't believe Chakra got a couple points herself.
Just 2, though. That's all part of the strategy for this Cherry City team. I would imagine that Cherry City would be one of the better teams sitting on a lead that you're going to see.
Yeah, they certainly seem to have taken advantage of the slight lead they had earlier, and now that lead has grown by quite a bit. So they're 50 points ahead. It's going to be tough for the rollers to make any headway there, but we might see a little bit of points change, but I think we can see how this is going.
The rollers just haven't had those kinds of 10, 11, 12-point runs that we've seen from other roller derby teams as we've watched. It's not like the Cherry City's had that many of them tonight, but they haven't needed to. It's just been a very tough, hard-fought game.
And we saw some points there from Rotten Chulicor, who received the pass from Carl Sparks early on. That was a very quick and beautiful pass, if I might add. So a couple points for the rollers, 3 points there, and 1 for Cherry City. So that was to the Redwood Rollers' advantage.
Now, Rotten Chulicor doesn't. They are a pivot, but they don't play a jammer very often.
Tula jams occasionally, but I think prefers that pivot roll, but is certainly really good at positioning to take that pass. So we saw that right at the beginning. It was pretty beautifully done.
Here we go, and look at that. Knocking Daddy Longlegs, going to knock Poison Grace out on the outside. And Poison Grace is going to make it on the outside again. And Eco Terrorist going ahead and trying to keep things made up. That Eco Terrorist got the panty on the pass. So trying to make up some ground. And
we are seeing the power jam. So power jam for
called on a penalty is Poison Grace. Can Eco Terrorists break loose? They are in an incredible scrum in the turn number 2. And this is just one tough defensive team. This team Cherry City from Salem, Oregon.
So we're seeing Eco make a little headway and then get caught up in the pack again. So they're really quite good at reforming. Incredibly strong defense there.
131-83, 6 minutes to go. This has been one hard-fought match.
And Eco still has not gotten through that pack, unfortunately.
And that's way up. That pack has moved all the way from the second turn, all the way around the tech. And finally, Eco Terrace breaks loose. Finally. My goodness, that was a lot of effort to break loose.
And we were seeing a full 2-minute jam here because the lead went to the box. So here we are exhausting that last 20 seconds, and we'll see who can score.
Well, Eco Terrace is the one that's scoring, but the reality is that a Humboldt needs it to be a 2-minute jam, because with the player in the box and a power jam, a Humboldt needs to go ahead and get some points and get some points fast, go on a larger run. Eco Terrace is going to get 7 points for the Rollers. It's 131-90. 4:54 to go here in the game.
Eco did tighten that just a little bit. So now instead of 50 points, they're looking at 40 points.
I almost went double or nothing with you for under 250.
Well, I don't know how much beer you
combined,
but
me and Ocean.
Incredible. We're all good at something.
Yeah, right. A superpower. Sprocket Rocket absolutely smothered down here in corner number 1, and Danger comes in and breaks it up and is going to be called on a penalty. So the Redwood Rollers are going to be a player short.
So Sprocket was looking a little frustrated at that. So there's a rule in roller derby where you have to let a player get up who has been hit down. And you can't hit them while they're down. And they got hit in those circumstances, which is why one of their players went to the box. When I say they, I mean Cherry City.
And that was a wrestling move between turns 3 and 4. Flossie, Sprocket, she got a penalty. She should have got a takedown. Unbelievable.
Quite impressive.
Sprocket Rocket, who is a perfect jammer, I think, for any team that wanted to have a fast comeback, because fast and great agility moves, like right there.
Incredible agility and strength. So we're going to see some and knows when she gets hit out too. So, or knows when her skate's over the line, as we just saw right now. Very safe skater, doesn't get penalties very often.
Rollers on an 8-4 run. Humboldt Roller Derby, Cherry City Roller Derby. You can tell this is a good rivalry. Speaking of, are these your rivals?
I would say they're certainly one of the rivals. There's quite a few standing rivalries. Monterey Bay, Santa Cruz, certainly Bakersfield. Those are some of the frequent rivals.
Now, do you go to those places as well?
Yes, we do. We usually have a couple traveled games a year. So that previous May game in Cherry City or in Salem.
Breaking loose again. I'll tell you, a sneaky point scorer tonight is when Poison Grace. $147 to go. Poison Grace being locked up around the jam line. You know who's played well is Daddy Longlegs.
Daddy's amazing. Daddy is such a great skater. Kind of a quiet sort of strength.
Played very well in this game.
I
Clover kill
agree.
on the loose for the Rollers. 119 to go. 141, 102, 145, 107. Clock running as we're coming to the end of this very competitive, very intense, very hard fought match. This was a real joy to watch, roller derby wise.
I have to admit, this is one of those games it's hard for me to not be on the track.
Oh,
It's a little painful.
we needed you.
I think so.
I think so.
Alas.
You'd have been out there with Dixie Normus and
I would love
CJ
to.
Crusher.
I would love to run headlong into Dixie Normus.
Yeah, that's what we need.
Yep. I just didn't have the attendance for this game. I've been out of town. That's the only reason I'm not out there.
There we go.
But I get to be here with you.
Well, I don't know if that's a consolation prize or not. So 15 seconds to go. CJ shutter speed. It's CJ Crusher is the one player.
Yep, Shutter Speed's doing well this jam. They've been a little less successful in some of the previous jams, but we're seeing danger out there with the offense.
Time has expired, so the Redwood Rollers will not avenge their loss in May, but the jam will continue. It's called off. Let's see what the official score will wind up. That was a great bout, a great match, a great game. This was really exciting. These players played hard. I was very impressed.
I was impressed as well. I was itching to play, but it was quite something to watch.
I would have lost those two beverages to you because I didn't think they'd score 250 between them, and they scored 251.
Ah, all right. How about it?
How about it? Well, outstanding. I think if you look at this game, and if you look at what the game was in March, you have to look at yourself if you're part of the Redwood Rollers and say, we've improved greatly to play this tough, the team that pushed us around in March.
Or they brought their own actual players and didn't bring all of Portland's players, which is
Right.
what happened in March.
There you go. There you
But don't tell
go.
them I said that. Just kidding.
Right.
They'll be able to watch this.
Hessians. That's what happened. All right. Well, unbelievable. A great game. I want to thank Ron Luke Picard. I'll tell you, I am so impressed with the color announcers that the Redwood Rollers have sent over to do
Oh,
these
good.
games. Oh, you guys are fantastic.
We're a very colorful bunch.
A colorful bunch, and perfect for color announcers. For our underwriters, the Speakeasy Bar, Rennie Public Law Group, Juan Pablo Cervantes, and Brio Cafe. This is Paul Bersu with Ron Luke Picard. Final score here. Cherry City 149, Redwood Rollers 102, and really what was a fabulous roller derby event. 96.7 KZZH radio, your home for Redwood roller derby. November 16th, we'll have the final game of the season. And so for Nate Dogg and for Matt Knight back at the studio, Thomas Chan, who wrote Ring Crash, our theme song. This is Paul Brasou signing off. Good night.